You won't find many friends out here. The desert, by definition, it is a barren, a lonely place. To survive this, it's all on you. No food, no shelter, no water. To survive a season in NASCAR, it's not much different. Sure, we saw the beginning last week in Daytona, but don't let the beginning fool you. There was a winning moment. There were championship hopes, but when it comes to who will become the next Nationwide Series champion, what we saw in Daytona was all just a mirage.
The 2012 NASCAR Nationwide season has begun, and what a weekend it was.
Trouble in the corner! Hard, vicious crash! Who gets through to win the race? James Busher!
One race down, 32 more to go. A journey covering 21 states and beyond. And nestled under the desert sun, an old track with a new feel. Phoenix is a chance for a fast start to a long season.
Green flag, green.
A chance to take newfound momentum to the finish line. A chance for nerves to settle and new faces to take control.
Gonna have to earn it. Keep doing what you're doing. This is our time.
NASCAR's annual crisscrossing of America is long, arduous, and taxing. Can you survive through 9 months of joy, speed, and anger? 259 days of heat, resentment, and disappointment. Can you? You'll have to.
2,100 miles from Daytona Beach, Florida. Week 2 takes us to Phoenix International Raceway. Welcome to NASCAR Countdown and welcome to the desert. How about the surprise of 1 week ago? James Busher led just 1 lap at Daytona, and that was the one for the win. But from the highs to the lows, Busher is in the backup car today after he snagged the wall in practice yesterday. And then there is Danica Patrick. She is looking to get her season started after a disappointing outing in Daytona. She started on pole a week ago and finished 38th. We'll see what she can do today with a 30th place starting spot. And with one of the best views, not just at this particular racetrack, but really one of the best views all season long on Phoenix's famed Rattlesnake Hill. Yes, we looked out for the snakes as we climbed up here. It is the ESPN pit studio, and inside you will find, by the magic of the TV, I have changed clothes, and found some friends in this corner of the desert. Mr. Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty on the end there, and Dale Jarrett in the middle. If you feel like you're trying to catch your breath from Daytona, you're not the only one. This has been like NASCAR's hurry-up offense heading into this weekend's race, and we hear this phrase a lot here. This is the beginning. This is the grind. This is where the season starts.
A lot of people say that, and they say that because this is not restrictor plate racing, guys. This is short track style racing. No plates, no bumper-to-bumper drafting, none of that stuff. It's all about handling. It's all about a good car. It's all about pit stops and a lot of driver input. So this is a different style racetrack, completely different, Dale. And the teams really like it, I believe.
Yeah, they definitely like it. Unless you're James Busher or Elliott Sadler or Cole Witt or Austin Dillon, they thought Daytona turned out pretty well also. But a lot of these drivers and teams are ready to get to what we call the real racing, where the teams and the drivers have a say-so in exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is the start of the regular season. You know, Daytona with all the pomp and circumstance, it's taxing physically, but it's also taxing mentally. There's so much to do, so much to accomplish in such a long race month. Now we get to Phoenix, everyone can start concentrating on the grind, start going out trying to collect those points each week.
I'm just guessing, though, that James Busher is still hanging on to that race 1 week ago. Isn't that right, Dr. Jerry Punch?
Well, thank you, Nicole. You know, they say a win at Daytona can change a driver's life forever. James, what was your life like this week?
It's, you know, more and more people that you wouldn't expect, you know, congratulate you for the win and tell you how cool it is to see you win. And, you know, there's guys that I race against, guys I see in the garage that, you know, a lot of times maybe I don't talk to, but, you know, come up and congratulate me. So it's pretty cool to see how many people, you know, reach out to me and congratulate me. And it's been a good week, and we've got a good ABF Chevy for today, and we'll be coming from the back. But we should have a pretty good race car to work on all day and get up front.
Well, good luck today.
Thank you.
Well, from the celebration in Daytona to the frustration of Phoenix, James Busher wrecked his primary car in the opening practice here. And as you said, Nicole, he has gone to a back.
That's right. He'll go to a backup car. James Busher will start 25th. And let's be honest, sorry for the technical difficulties there. We didn't mention James Busher's name all throughout Countdown last week because who could have predicted that?
Yeah, he had no idea this was going to happen to this magnitude. But James Busher was having a solid day. He was running the top 15, going to have a really good finish, DJ, until this.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, we've seen more than 10 cars wreck on the last lap at Daytona, just not the first 10. That's exactly what happened. But you have to put yourself in position. Rusty, and you take advantage when it's there.
You got to. I mean, you got to take him any way you can get him. This is a big race. James Busher kept his car clean throughout the day. I'm proud of him. But again, hey, man, take him any way you can get him.
Win is a win.
Take the check, take the trophy, because 10 years from now, whose name will we see in the record books?
James Busher.
James Busher.
That's right.
There was another wreck that day. This one happened on lap 49. Of course, we're talking about the wreck that involved that car. Danica Patrick, the pole sitter, got into the wall after some, shall we say, unsuccessful drafting with her partner there, her teammate in the 88, Cole Witt, the rookie, which then led to this on Danica's radio.
You okay?
88 hit me when we're in a big crash. What the
Yeah, he wrecked out of you there.
What the is he thinking?
Certainly was a frustrating day for both drivers. You know, Cole Witt, that was just his 4th career Nationwide Series race. Said he felt terrible about the accident, carried it with him throughout the race and even throughout the course of the week leading up to this race here in Phoenix. Did try to apologize and did apologize, in fact, to Danica after the race at Daytona. Danica explained to me that she did give him a bit of a verbal lashing when he apologized. Inexperienced or not, she believes it was a careless mistake. And if they weren't teammates, there'd likely be a payback in store. As it is, Danica told Witt she expects him to give her plenty of room at Phoenix. Nicole?
Well, all right then.
Okay,
let's just put it this way. The wreck that Danica was in was not an uncommon sight during Speed Weeks.
No, not uncommon at all. Look, I got a little problem with this Cole Witt lashing, personally. I mean, look, some of the world's best drivers were involved in wrecks down there, okay? What about Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch? Right before practice, they wipe each other out. Hey, another one, Jimmy Johnson, Elliott Sadler. First lap one of the Daytona 500. I got more written down here. What about Clint Boyer and Brad Keselowski wiping theirs out? Look, my point is this. The world's best drivers wrecked at Daytona. Cole Witt is a good little race car driver. No way he meant to go out there and wreck his teammate. I think she was a little harsh on him. They're both a little bit inexperienced, but hey, give the guy a break because the best people in the world wrecked out there at Daytona.
Yeah, I can understand her frustration a little bit, but you don't take it out on teammates. I'm not sure exactly how you go about things in IndyCar, but here you're going to need all the help that you can get, especially as you're still learning, and that's exactly what she's doing. And she's going to need the help of not only that teammate at some point in time, but that team. They can all work together, but probably needs to be a little bit easier on them and make this work. Communication is a big part of being successful.
Yeah, teammates, you said it, and that's what it's all about. Cole Witt actually was trying to help his teammate put her in a better position. For her to have to lash him or give him a tongue lashing is totally out of bounds. She's not in position to be doing that. She's learning just like Cole Witt is learning. He made a mistake. He apologized. She has to move on. And this whole thing about giving her plenty of room, that type of stuff, that's not right. Cole Witt is a tremendously talented young race car driver. He's going to be a great race car driver. She's inexperienced, and he's inexperienced. They're both inexperienced.
It's different, though, with her because you look at the pressure that is around her that comes with the crush of attention, the media hype. So she had a disappointing Speed Weeks, and now she's heading into the grind the rest of the season.
Disappointing Speed Weeks.
Hey, look,
according to what? Disappointing according to what? Disappointing according to all the hype.
3 wrecks.
But she's in this series. She's in this Nationwide Series. In my opinion, she's there because she needs to be there. She needs to be learning. This whole hype thing about when's she going to win a race, how many races, that's hogwash. She needs to be in this series, the Nationwide Series, for a couple years, learning, getting her experience down, and then letting her talent develop.
I can understand her getting down there, getting so upset after wrecking out in every single race. I understand the frustration.
Part of the deal.
Look, it was a really, really big learning procedure. Let's hit the reset button, see what she does this week.
Yeah, you have to put that behind you. Yeah, do a lot. And that's just what she's going to have to do is continue to learn. And now I understand why Ray didn't come back this week.
We got you to come here. We just didn't tell you that. Hey, so when we come back, Sam Hornish Jr. came to NASCAR, the very successful Penske IndyCar driver. What became of him as a Cup driver, though, took away from his confidence and that success until this race last fall. And this is our second look at the new look Phoenix International Raceway. Quite a bit has changed since we were last here. How will that affect what we see on the track today? That's next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown is brought to you by Domino's. Oh, yes, we did.
What must it feel like to go from living legend to punchline?
Trouble. Looks like Sam Hornish.
Why would a man stay when he could always return to where he was beloved? Because he's the kind of man who looks at the less traveled.
Before Sam Hornish Jr. made his NASCAR debut at the end of the 2006 season, the only road he'd ever traveled was that of success. He was a 3-time IndyCar Series champion, an Indy 500 winner, and the driver responsible for some of the most incredible race-winning passes. But that wasn't Sam's IndyCar career. His NASCAR career has been anything but incredible. However, that could be changing.
Phoenix has always been pretty good to me.
How would you like to be 21 years old and on the verge of winning your first IndyCar race?
Great job, Sammy, great job.
That was the first race of the season in 2001. I was with Panther Racing, my first paying ride. Wanted to have a good, strong showing, and we led a whole bunch of laps and won the race. And it was the beginning of a lot of big things.
At the line! Oh, he's got him!
You're the champion.
Oh.
It's a drag race. Marco Andretti. Hornish. Who's going to win?
Sam Hornish Jr. makes the pass. He'll win it. Sam Hornish Jr. has won the 90th Indianapolis 500.
I felt like I had accomplished more than I ever dreamed of, and I don't know, it feels like I sound like I'm bragging when I say that I won that much, but really it just, when you go to victory lane about once out every 5 or 6 times that you're in the race car, you're like, you just get, it's old hat. You don't cherish it as much. I felt like I needed to be challenged again. It just felt like if I didn't do it, I was going to always wonder, what might have been.
Trouble. Sam Hornish, he's really done a job on it this time.
I think if I had a big ego and, it would have been really tough, but, I knew that there was a lot of different odds and, things could go against you over here.
Sam Hornish, unfortunately, just wrong place at the wrong time here.
Sometimes you got to take a step back to go forward.
A mile away from the former Indianapolis 500 and IndyCar champion to finally become a NASCAR winner.
He takes the checkered flag. Sam Hornish wins at Phoenix.
It's been a tough year for us, but for a lot of different reasons. But I don't know. Every 10 years, I guess I get to come to victory lane here.
I don't know if I was nearly as choked up as I was when I won my first IndyCar race. I think that it had just been so long coming that it was kind of a huge relief. You just forget sometimes how good that feels.
Been a long time since I got to carry a checkered flag around, so it means a lot to me.
I still get probably about 10 or 15 people a week that'll tell me, oh, we wish you'd come back to IndyCars. And, I'm not done yet, so we'll see what happens. And I'll never look at it as I made the wrong decision. At the end of the day, it was for me. It wasn't for anything else.
Some big news this week about the car that Sam will be driving next year. Penske Racing is switching to Ford engines in 2013. And I know we sat here last week, Rusty, and you said Sam is your pick to win the Nationwide Series Championship. How does that change now that this has been announced?
I don't think it's going to change any at all. These guys are super smart when it comes to building these race cars. They're going to switch to Ford Motor Company next year. I talked to Roger Penske on the phone yesterday. I said, look, Rusty, the contract with Dodge was up at the end of 2012. We got to put all brand new bodies on in 13, and he really feels like he can win more races with Ford.
Yeah, and I think this says a lot about Ford Motor Company and their commitment, wanting to get some more teams just besides what they have at Roush. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to strengthen their hold in the sport too.
Two biggest questions is what happens to Dodge going forward, and what type of motor program will Roger Penske have? Will he have to, or no, hey, he won't have to do anything. Will he utilize Roush Yates, or will he utilize his own engine program, which is outstanding? That's going to be interesting to watch.
It will be fun to watch those two work together. Sam obviously won this race the last time we were here. He was the best to get used to this new configuration. There, you can see it there. But there was an interesting way of racing around here. Some drivers started to use a short shortcut, if you will.
Oh, man, they're
But it was
coming
a
off
bit
the track.
risky.
Yeah, look at this. They're getting down an apron, getting up on the track. It was very, very controversial design. I didn't like it, although I'm going to give another shot. The track is kind of seasoned in. Drivers have got a lot smarter deal. I think they won't use that apron so much now.
Well, the drivers tell me it's going to be hard to at first because it's so dirty back there, but they do plan on utilizing it. NASCAR says it's okay. They can go down there. But we did see it right here not go so well. But I think that it's the responsibility of both drivers, the one that's making the pass and the driver that gets past, not to make a wreck happen there.
Yeah, I talked to Clint Boyer about it. He was talking about what they used in the racetrack, the aggregate, to actually build this place. He said this track has actually lost a little bit of grip, but it's going to be a great racetrack once the second group finally gets burned in here.
Man, we saw a lot of slipping and sliding today. Cars hitting walls all over the place qualifying. Pretty tough track, but it will be a great race.
Risk versus reward, that shortcut, not worth it?
No, I don't think so.
I think you can use it late in the race.
DJ, thank you very much. I know you've got another job to go do, so we'll let you bug on out of here and get across the track.
I thought he was buying lunch. Where are you going?
He is.
Yeah, I'll buy you
it's
lunch.
not
I'm
for
just
you.
not staying.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you very much. And for you fans, remember, check this out. Race Buddy. Enhanced coverage for select nationwide series races with more cameras than ever. And when we come back, 200 laps at Phoenix. We'll see how this one pans out. Do not go anywhere.
It's quite a change of scenery for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, from Daytona Beach, Florida and the Atlantic Seacoast to the desert Southwest and beautiful Phoenix International Raceway, where we go green in just moments. With today's top story, here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Al. You know, since there are no restrictor plates on the cars here for many of these drivers, the season really begins today. And for Roush Fenway teammates Ricky Stenhouse and Trevor Bayne, there is a sense of urgency. Both are chasing sponsorship and win. Now, speaking of sense of urgency, it is time to go trackside and get the pre-race festivities underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Carl Hayden High School Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Phoenix International Raceway Chaplain Ken Bowers offers today's invocation.
Father, because you created us and gave us breath, we're all therefore qualified to ask for your help in the race of life. We thank you for the beautiful day you've given us here at PIR, and we thank you for the safety that we're anticipating in the running of the Bashas 200. Father, I am most grateful for all the fans who are here, and we thank you so very much for your wonderful blessings. This we pray in your name. And everyone said, Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome One Sun Entertainment Group recording artist and the 2011 winner of Radio Disney's Next Big Thing contest, Shalee.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home and the brave? 'Cause the flag is still there. 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 '
nice. Now time for the drivers to climb aboard their cars for what we anticipate is going to be a rugged, very hard-fought race where little small things will make a big difference in the outcome. More on that next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Phoenix is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Call now to get a quote.
The spectacular setting that is Phoenix International Raceway, the Desert Mountains southwest of downtown, set to host race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series for 2012. Check out Race Buddy. It's enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races with more cameras than ever, 8 HD camera angles, a DVR, free scanner, live chat, live leaderboard. Find out more, NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. The command to fire engines is down to its final moments. For more of the stories in today's race, we go trackside. Here's Jamie Little.
Well, 2 RCR drivers found themselves working very well together last week. That's Elliott Sadler and Austin Dillon. Well, this week it's a different style racetrack, yet they find themselves together again. They're starting 8th and 9th respectively, and they're also pitted side by side. As of now, the plan is run their own race. They're not going to plan on getting off sequence from one another. They're going to do their own thing. They're planning 3 stops in this race. Let's go over to Vince Welch.
Danica Patrick admits that the short tracks still produce her steepest learning curves. In fact, she finished multiple laps behind in both of these races a year ago. Also qualified 30th today. Crew Chief Tony Uri Jr. told me just a moment ago his chief concern is the potential danger when you start deep in the field. Dave Burns?
Denny Hamlin is in the 18 car today, Vince. That's the same team that led every lap and won the race here last year. Now, yesterday in practice, Denny had his crew chief, Matt Lucas, hold off on an adjustment to keep the car more drivable for qualifying. It paid off. They will start first today. Question is, will that setup allow him to stay up front all day long? Alan?
Dave, thanks. And if you want an underdog to cheer for today, how about the driver starting in the 3rd position, Kenny Wallace in the 09 car? Yeah, I know Kenny's a 9-time winner in the Nationwide Series, but it's been a while, and he's driving for a team struggling to find sponsorship. Note the bare quarter panels on that car. Kenny starting inside of row number 2 for this race today. Someone to cheer for if you want to pull for an underdog. Now, if you want to pull for somebody with a lot of success on this racetrack, who is perhaps in a combination you're not as familiar with today, how about Kevin Harvick in the 33 car for Richard Childress Racing?
Yeah, Kevin's going to be a real strong horse today, and this RCR team is very strong. Got some good cars in this race.
And the man who won the most recent NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race here at Phoenix today is driving the 38 car in the Nationwide Series, and that is Casey Kane, who will steer that machine, and another one who looked pretty good in practice and worth keeping an eye on.
Casey Kane's always somebody we have to keep our eye on at this racetrack. Really knows how to make the car go around here.
Weather's perfect, field is set, and 200 very tough miles of racing are ahead on this Phoenix International Raceway mile. First, we go trackside to get him started.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Bashas Supermarkets employee, Ralph Woodward.
Drivers, start your engines.
So after the cross-country haul from Daytona Beach up to the team shops in the Charlotte, North Carolina area and out here to Phoenix, it's time for what they came here for. Time to go racing on this very difficult mile track. Now, one of the drivers who will no doubt hold our attention today is our ESPN in-race reporter, Kyle Busch. 4 times in the past, Kyle's been the man holding the trophy at the end of one of these Nationwide Series races here. But all 4 of those times, he was driving for a powerhouse team, either Hendrick Motorsports or Joe Gibbs Racing. Today, Kyle's driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports. We'll ask him if he can win it next. Cars beginning to roll off the grid at Phoenix International Raceway for the 2nd event of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. Could not ask for better weather. Fans, crews, or drivers, beautiful sunny skies. 70 degrees now, going to a high of 75 today. Just perfect. I'll look at the starting lineup coming across the top of your screen now. The field of 43 today, headed by Denny Hamlin in that very potent Joe Gibbs Racing 18 car, and the defending series champ Ricky Stenhouse Jr. alongside him on the front row. A lot of great stories as we work our way back through that starting field. Going to take a little bit before we get back to today's in-race reporter. Kyle Busch is starting back in 14th position in his 54 car today. He's our ESPN in-race reporter, and we talk to him now.
Kyle, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, man, right here.
All right, man, thanks for talking with us today. And our first question comes from our mailbag, and Paul in Ladd, Illinois asks, what win would mean more to you, taking over the all-time nationwide wins lead or the first win you get in your own car?
Probably winning in my own car. That'd be pretty special. You know, it's a great opportunity to be associated with Monster Energy. We're really looking forward to this year. Second race out, you know, we'd like to make the most of the opportunity here and win this thing, but we've got a few cars to pass, so we'll see how it goes today here in Phoenix, but long year ahead of us.
Kyle, it's just been a little over 3 months ago that this racetrack was a new surface and new configuration. How have you seen it change during that time in your practice, and what do you expect from this race today?
It hasn't changed a whole lot, to be honest with you. The racetrack did have a tire machine out here that laid down all this black right here, so it seems like it's better. It's definitely, it's not as easy to crash when you get out of the lane, but once you do get to the really light gray, you're in danger out there, so that's bad. All in all, though, I feel like you keep it down on the bottom, keep it in the groove, and things will be good.
Okay, Kyle, you have a great day. Thanks for talking with us. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Mike Bean.
Hey, Mike, Andy in the booth. You got us?
Sure, Andy. I got you.
Hey, Mike, you've had the privilege of working with two of the very best drivers this series has seen in the last 10 years. The little time that you've worked with Kyle, how do you think he compares to Carl in their style and what they like in a race car?
Well, comparing the two, they're such great drivers. They give you great feedback, good direction to go in. We got to get going here, Kyle. He's definitely just one of the best. I think he's the best. Glad we got him in our car, and we'll just dig on here.
Okay, Mike. Well, good luck today, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
And a lap away from the start today here at Phoenix, we welcome you to our exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series on the ESPN networks. Alan Bestbrook, along with champion driver Dale Jarrett and champion crew chief Andy Petrie, only 3 former winners of Nationwide Series races here at Phoenix in the field. Talked about this being a season of opportunity. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, or Sam Hornish Jr. One of those 3 or somebody else today?
No, I think we see somebody else join that group that can win here, and I think it may be the guy on the outside of the front row, Ricky Stenhouse. Had a great run here last November, finished 5th. He may close the deal here today.
That's a good pick, Dale, but the next big thing in this series, I think, is Austin Dillon. And I think that by the end of this day, and he's going to have to get to the finish, but by the end of the day, he might prove it here.
All right, I'll give you guys those picks, and I'll take the other 40 in the field. Let's see how it all turns out. Some things to watch for today. Tricky turn 3 where the field is right now. It's been the trouble spot here, old configuration or new, and we'll also see very critical pit strategy and restarts during the race. More about that as we go. 200 laps on this 1-mile track. Remember that kink in the back straightaway? They call it the dog leg. It's been a very interesting part since they reconfigured this Phoenix Raceway before the race last November. Set to go for the start of race number 2 of the Nationwide Series 2012. The green is in the air. Slip in 1 and 2 for the 6, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Kicked him from the outside of row number 1 all the way back to 5th place.
Yeah, that second groove is going to be a problem here for a little while. A number of these drivers told me they did not want to be in the outside, that you could lose 5 or 6 spots before you have a chance to get back down.
09 Kenny Wallace, same thing. Up a little high in 3 and 4 and in 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's going to take some give and take early in this race for these guys not to crash. You see right now, they're utilizing that apron in the dog leg to give Kenny a little extra room.
Well, that didn't take long. A number of the drivers told me that was a dirty part of the track. They didn't know how quickly they might go down there. Brian Scott didn't waste any time.
Well, Brian Scott was one of the drivers I talked about. He got crashed in the very first or second lap of the race here last fall, so he really wants to try to get to the end of this one.
So Denny Hamlin leads from pole position. Settling in the second spot is Trevor Bayne in the 60 car. Then Sam Hornish Jr. in third, Keselowski and Kane fourth and fifth.
Trevor Bayne in that 60 has a lot to try to prove here today. Not just prove, he's a Daytona 500 winner, but they need sponsorship to run the rest of the year. They are only contracted to run a few races at the start of this season.
Yeah, I'm sure he's proven just about everything he needs to attract that sponsor. I mean, he's run really well in this series. He's won a race. He won the Daytona 500. Look at Ricky Stenhouse. Man, he cut off a lot of that track.
Cut off a lot, but you're going to have to get some help from the driver that you're trying to pass in that situation. A little give and take you're talking about. Here comes Trevor Bayne.
Last year's Daytona 500 winner, not guaranteed to run any more than the first 3 races of this season. Trevor Bayne goes to the point in that 60 car. Said he's just hoping that he can get out and win this race and almost force people to notice and find a way to keep going. There is Kyle Busch, 54 car.
Got Michael Annett chewing on that left rear corner.
And he's actually already lost a couple of spots from where he started. But he was one of those starting in that outside lane.
Yeah. Yep.
This racetrack's going to change quite a bit when it takes rubber. It's going to get tighter. I think some of these drivers have set their cars up pretty free.
There's James Busher in the 30. The Daytona winner. Remember, this is a backup car. He had a little contact with the wall in Friday practice here. As we check up front, the Penske Racing teammates swapping a spot. Keselowski by Hornish. And Casey Kane in the 38 car.
And we talk about the racetrack going to change by the end of the race. And Sam Hornish's car in the last race that he won here, he wasn't that big of a factor in the beginning part. He really came alive at the second half of this race, and I'm sure that they're planning on that happening again here.
Austin Dillon there trying to make a move.
And right behind him, that was Kevin Harvick poking a nose to the inside.
Yeah, I had a lot of talk from drivers telling me about that 33 car, Kevin Harvick, just how good it was in race configuration yesterday. Said it was really fast in longer runs.
Kevin started back in 12th position.
Now with Kevin Harvick back in RCR equipment in the Nationwide Series, I think you're going to see a lot of big things out of them. I mean, he's such a leader over there, and he's got tremendous talent in the depth that they have in that organization. Here's a swap now for the lead with Denny Hamlin going by Trevor Bayne.
So after Bayne paced a couple of laps, Hamlin goes back to the point. And they've got some company there. Brad Keselowski, while they went side by side, closed right in, and Harvick continues to march forward in the 33.
A little give and take there. You see Austin lets Harvick go.
Good place to learn something, too. Kevin
Absolutely.
Harvick, winner here, and knows how to get around this racetrack, so good time for Austin Dillon to learn a little bit more.
Brad Keselowski, part of that Penske team that certainly raised some eyebrows here on Thursday when the announcement came that they would switch from Dodge to Ford for next season. But finishing out this season in the Dodge and running third to the Ford of Trevor Bayne and the Toyota of Denny Hamlin. Out in front, the early leader at Phoenix. Just underway, the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Phoenix International Raceway, 15 of 200 laps complete. Denny Hamlin is the race leader. This the race for second behind Hamlin. 22 Brad Keselowski by 60 Trevor Bayne. Here comes Casey Kane in the 38.
Yeah, Casey Kane looks like he's just kind of taking his time, letting Brad Kay open up some holes for him today and then making the pass. That's a lot easier that way.
Generally.
Yeah. But you can expect that 38 car, Casey Kane, to be a factor. As you said, Alan, he won the Cup race here last November.
So Trevor Bayne, after leading just a little bit ago, now kicked back to fourth place, Doc.
Yeah, last November, Trevor Bayne's car took 30 laps to come in. The car was way too free early on. They worked in practice yesterday to make it a short-run car. Wanted the car to be able to take off in the first 4 or 5 laps, but worried about it getting tight. And now that has been the case. The car has gotten a little too tight, and he's lost 3 positions. Alan?
Got company closing in from behind in the form of Kevin Harvick, and you saw the change for second place as Casey Kane has moved through Brad Keselowski.
I heard Doc talk about you want to have a car that'll really get going quick. And after restarts and after the initial start, that's really important to maintain track position. You know, if you make a good pit stop and you come out in the top 5, you don't want to give up 3 or 4 or 5 spots in the first couple of laps. So you got to have a car that'll really get going on restarts and on new tires.
And those restarts are something they decided the last race here when Sam Hornish got a jump on Ricky Stenhouse, and we expect they'll play a big role in deciding the outcome of this one today, too. Progress of our in-race reporter today, Kyle Busch, 54 car. He started in 14th position. He's running in 14th position, rather. And I had it right. He started in 14th position. I thought that was a familiar number.
I think he might have just moved up to 13th in front of Cole Witt there.
Kyle has scored multiple victories here at this track in the past, but they've all been 4 victories to be specific in the Nationwide Series, all been driving for either Hendrick Motorsports or Joe Gibbs Racing. Now he's with his own team. And it's a different challenge because it's not only his own team, but it's basically a new team to this Nationwide Series level of competition.
Yeah, Mike Beam has done a good job, and Kyle Busch Motorsports of building this, you know, this team to this level. It's hard to do that, to build a team that can compete in this series at this level. And they've done it really kind of on their own. They're not even using Joe Gibbs engines. They are using Toyota engines, but they come from Triad.
Change for 4th here, Kevin Harvick by Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, Trevor losing another spot. May have to make an adjustment on that car.
Yeah, and there's Kevin Harvick, who built his own Nationwide team after being so successful at Richard Childress for a lot of years, and then sold it back, basically, to Richard Childress. So it is a huge challenge, and Kyle has talked about that he wanted that challenge, but it is going to be an uphill battle for them for a while. I don't care how many good people you put together, it takes time to make all of that happen.
So, quick question to wrap up the Kyle Busch conversation is this. This is one of the best drivers in the business for a new team. Is this, to make another sport analogy, is this an expansion team or not?
Yeah, I think you do consider that as an expansion team, but Kyle Busch.
Yeah, it's an expansion team that got Tom Brady or Peyton Manning as their quarterback, so that's the best thing that they can have. That will help them accelerate this and be a top team quicker.
Vince, how about the early update on this 54?
Well, they like the car. They know it's in for the long haul. Remember, Kyle Busch led every single lap in this race a year ago. You noted his starting position, so that wasn't going to happen this time, but managing the expectations. These are year-old cars, and first this one, in fact, this is the very first Kyle Busch Motorsports chassis, and crew chief Mike Beam said we've got to manage our expectations and understand what we're working with in these first few races.
All right, Vince, thanks. So you see Kyle just ahead of Cole Witt there, and again back in 13th and 14th spots. We saw a car down on the apron of the racetrack that they were going by. That was Morgan Shepherd. He appears to be headed toward the garage. Updating some other stories, Danica Patrick, 7 car, is back in 25th place in the early going. There she is.
Yeah, she's only about 3 seconds ahead of the race leader. But these type of racetracks, she has stated it, are going to be some of her biggest challenges as she embarks on this first year full-time in the Nationwide Series.
So, caution-free so far. A couple of drivers have swapped the lead. Trevor Bayne led a couple of times, briefly. But Denny Hamlin started on pole in that 18 car, and he has been out in front for most of the circuits in this race. Expect this to be a 3 pit stop race for most of the teams, but so far, it's all green and clean at Phoenix. Here tonight, ESPN has 2 great college hoops games. The top spot in the ACC is coming down to the wire. Harrison Barnes and the number 6 Tar Heels try to avenge the last-second loss to bitter rival number 3 Duke earlier this month. It's Saturday primetime, presented by DirecTV at 7 Eastern. Then at 9 Eastern, Thomas Robinson and number 4 Kansas hope to finish the regular season strong as they host Texas. College basketball on ESPN, ESPN3, and streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app tonight. Denny Hamlin, the leader, has opened up 2.3 seconds on second place. Casey Kane early in the race at Phoenix. A moment ago, in that newly paved part of the racetrack inside that dogleg corner, that all used to be grass before they reconfigured the track before last November's race. Now there's pavement on it. Watch as some of the lead lap cars run up on a slower car there and how that extra pavement comes into play.
They've talked about our driver's going to be allowed to go down there. You can see Sam Hornish, Ricky Stenhouse really take advantage of that opportunity, and it really could have been a bad situation. It was bad for Austin Dillon.
Yeah, he paid the big price for that, but it was enough give and take that they didn't crash.
Sam Hornish Jr. in the 12, running in 6th position. Stenhouse Jr. in the 6th, chasing him for that spot. 2 of the drivers involved in that mix. Set some stories for you with some of the front runners in the early going as we go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. Denny Hamlin's the leader. Dave Burns is covering him today.
Alan, recall that the 18 car led every lap of the race last year. Hey, there's a low line move right there by Denny Hamlin to get around slower traffic. Kyle won in this car last year, led every lap. He can't do that this year because Trevor Bayne led those 4. But he is running very well. Says the car is just a tick tight. And remember, I reported in pre-race that they want to make sure the car didn't get too tight after being comfortable in qualifying. I'll keep my eye on it. Vince?
After the final practice, Casey Kane told his team that his car needs to be more stable early in the run and he needed some more rear grip. Well, they made the adjustments. Crew Chief Mike Chiplett hit it right on the nose, said the car right now is really good, especially in turns 3 and 4 for the second place Kane. Now, Brad Keselowski is running 3rd right behind in the 22 car. Remember, he finished 2nd here in November, said a win would be extra special because Discount Tire, this is their home track. Off to a good start, although he says it's a little tight from center off. Knock.
Behind them, back in 4th place, 7-time Phoenix winner Kevin Harvick in the 33 car. And Harvick has said a moment ago, this is the first of 14 races he will run in the Nationwide car. Glad to be back in the Nationwide Series. Right now the car is very tight in the middle. Expecting to make a chassis adjustment, take wedge out on the pit stop. Now behind him, the 60 car, Trevor Bayne. You heard Dale Jarrett say, Trevor right now only scheduled for 3 events, this one and 1 more. He has to win or be in the top 2 in points, maybe to attract sponsorship. He knows the pressure is on. Right now, his car tight in the middle and sliding the nose. Now behind him, his teammate, reigning Nationwide Series champion, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky's problem's the same as Trevor, saying I'm very tight in the middle. I'm sliding the nose. Everyone is beating me up off the corner, and that's where I'm really struggling. Need an adjustment on the first stop. Jamie.
And behind him in the bright yellow cars, the battle continues there. Sam Hornish Jr., after his emotional win here last November, his boss man, Roger Penske, asked to put that race-winning car in his museum right here in Scottsdale. So they brought a different car, and so far he's saying as the race goes on, he's gaining rear grip, but losing front grip as you see him go around the 50. Dave?
Joey Logano trying to get that 7th spot in the 20 car. Joey told me before the race, hey, we got him right where we want him. We start 10th. We're like James Buescher. Remember, Buescher was 11th coming to the checkers at Daytona last week and won. Jamie?
Behind him, Elliott Sadler. It's been a good day. Just before the start of this race, it was announced that he will be in the MWR number 55 Cup car for 5 races this year. And then Mark Martin went and put that car on the pole for tomorrow's race. So Elliott in a great mood, saying right now he just needs help in the center. He's just a little bit loose. And behind him, Austin Dillon in the number 3, making just his 2nd ever start here at Phoenix. It's been a great weekend so far. He qualified 9th and has been running in the top 10 as you see him work his way around lap traffic. And he too, like so many drivers, saying they're just a little bit free. Turn 4 is the biggest complaint right now. Let's go back upstairs to Alan.
Jamie, thanks. Those are 10 of the 20 that are on the lead lap. Leader setting a pretty blistering pace and putting a lot of people laps down in the caution-free early going. Caution for debris brings the leaders to pit road. Vince?
Going to start off with Casey Kane in the 38, comes in running 2nd. Kane says it's real good. 4 tires and no adjustments. As for the 22 of Brad Keselowski, a little tight. Track bar up 1 round, 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. Doc.
Kevin Harvick right upper corner, going to be a track bar adjustment, 4 tires, a car tight in the middle, but no other adjustments. Dave.
Leader Hamlin on your lower right. He needs the car to turn just a little better. He'll get right side tires only, track bar down, up just a half round, and a little air pressure out of the right front. Let's see if he can keep the lead leaving pit road. He'll do it.
A couple of people getting just right side tires on that stop. The leader, Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch also just got a couple of tires on the stop. follow-ups on the pit stop and the restart. When we come back to Phoenix, first caution of the race is out, just shy of the 1/4 mark for debris in turn 3. Coming to the green here at Phoenix and coming your way online. Twitter at NASCAR ESPN if you want to follow us or join in the conversation. A little bit of strategy played out at the front of the field. Only 2 tires for the first 3 cars. Denny Hamlin, right sides. Elliott Sadler, 2 left sides. Austin Dillon, 3 left sides. 4 tires for Kevin Harvick in the 33, who is on the move on the outside lane.
Yeah, you can see Elliott Sadler get to the inside. He was one of those drivers that told me that you did not want to be up on the high side, especially on fresher tires.
Kyle Busch also with just right side tires on his pit stop, making a move forward.
Oh! Austin Dillon with a big slide. I don't know if he made contact or not.
He seems to really have been having some problems.
Working tires a little bit.
In that second groove today. That's what I think got him caught back there in the dog leg a little bit ago, so being extremely careful. Big wiggle there.
Man.
That's a nice save for what he did.
Clear.
Yeah.
Wow. Side by side here, Stenhouse in the 6, Keselowski in the 22. That is for 6th position.
See, Stenhouse, unlike the start of this race originally, he's moving forward this time instead of losing spots. Comes Logano.
Logano with 4 fresh tires on his pit stop, passing Elliott Sadler, who changed just the lefts on his.
He saw just lefts on Elliott Sadler and just right sides on Kyle Busch. Be interesting to see how that works out, you know, whether the left sides are more beneficial than maybe getting right sides.
Yeah, the teams that I talked with and drivers said that, now this was the previous race here on this new surface in November, said when they put right sides on, it tightened their car up quite a bit. Left sides seemed to help their car to turn.
Casey Kane in that 38 trying to dig out of a little hole on his pit stop. They went for 4 tires and had problems on the stop. More after we check on the race for the lead. Kevin Harvick to the point.
Well, he's made a nice charge, and then they made a nice pit stop. See Keselowski utilizing that apron again. We're seeing it a lot more. We're also seeing give and take as they enter turn 3, and to make that work, that's what's going to happen.
Justin Allgaier, 31, coming into the picture. Here's Michael Annett, 43. And Sam Hornish in the 12. That's going to be back for 11th and 12th spots. A couple of Joe Gibbs Racing teammates on the Sprint Cup side.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is that 4 tires are worth a little something over the 2-tire cars. Kevin Harvick took 4. He's taking the lead now from Denny Hamlin, who was very dominant in the first part. And Denny only taking two right sides on that stop. Kyle not giving it up, though, is he?
No, he's not. He's able to hang pretty good with those tires and on the outside also. But Logano, his car looks pretty strong, Dave.
It has been, DJ. Talked with Adam Stevens, his crew chief, before the race, and I said, you're going to take 2 or 4 most of the day. He said, I really don't know, because this track is like it's an always different animal, an ever-changing animal. He had decided to do 4 in the first run as Kyle taps the wall. And Logano moves on, guys.
Yeah, scuffed it up, right side of that 54 car.
Yeah, you just have to wonder, in Kyle Busch's mind, there's a car that used to be a teammate of his as far as in this series. Another one that he used to drive and win a lot is up in 2nd place. Was he driving a little harder there just to maybe prove a point?
Well, he was driving hard. I'll give you that. I mean, he just pushed it just a little bit too hard off of that corner.
And, you know, we can speculate right back into that 2-tire, 4-tire thing, too. Yeah, 54 team just changed 2 tires on the pit stop, and he was racing a guy that had 4 fresh tires.
And that right there is easy to do. There's just, well, you're in the gas so hard coming up. Even though when they changed this, they gave you more room on the exit of that corner. But as a race driver, you use all of it you possibly can. And this wasn't quite enough for Kyle here.
Yeah, you kind of make the commitment to go to the throttle early in that corner. And if you have to get out of it.
Inside. I'll get a good look at it.
you know, off the corner, it costs you so much momentum down the straightaway. So I can see why he was reluctant to get out of the throttle there.
Right front's good. Just knocked a good draft to the right rear. No smoke. Inside.
I don't really think it's affected his car at all.
Vince?
Well, you heard the report from the spotter, and as you correctly identified it, it really hasn't affected the car. But one thing Kyle did say, remember, they went with 2 tires on that stop, and he came on the radio and he said, 2 tires definitely not going to work for us today.
They fell from 3rd to 7th in that little scuff of the wall, Vince, and now he's hanging on there.
Well, and I think something that I've always pointed out, and I always felt like when I was driving, 2 tires is good if you have a good handling race car. If it's not, then it's only going to magnify maybe a problem that you had.
And I think that's what you heard Kyle say. Hey, 4 tires is what we need. We can't do 2 tires with this car today.
And we talked about at the top of the race, little things might make a big difference in the outcome of this race. I didn't say might, I said would make an outcome, big difference in the outcome of this race. And so far, little things, 2 tires, 4 tires, having an impact on the running order. Kevin Harvick's got a strong race car. He holds the lead in the Bashas Supermarkets 200 at Phoenix.
Back at Phoenix International Raceway, and fans, check out Race Buddy. It's enhanced coverage for select nationwide series races with more camera views than ever before. On board right now with your race leader, Kevin Harvick. Passing the start-finish line for the leader, but let's go back a little bit into the field to find the driver of the number 7 car. That is Danica Patrick. You'll find her in the 22nd place. 1 lap down, which means caution comes out. She gets back on the lead lap. Vince?
One of the issues with Danica last year in both races is that the car was just simply too tight. So Tony Eury Jr., the crew chief, wanted to make sure to combat that this time. Right now, it's a little bit too free. At least it was on that first stint. So they made a track bar adjustment during the pit stop. She likes it much better the second time around.
Thanks, Vince. Back up front, Kevin Harvick put a pass on Denny Hamlin a little bit earlier to gain the lead. This has been, though, a fairly clean race. Only 1 caution so far for 5 laps.
It has been a pretty clean race, and it kind of surprises me because the groove out there is pretty treacherous, Brad.
Yeah.
You can see the different colors of asphalt right there in our cameras, and this is a fairly new surface. I do believe it's going to widen out and get better as the race goes on, but they've been really fighting for the bottom of the racetrack to try to get that grip and not get stuck on the outside of this track like we see happen to Austin Dillon earlier.
Yeah, the one caution that we had was a debris caution, and so they're getting a lot of laps on the racetrack. I'm still watching them coming off turn 4 here, and they're still sliding just a little bit, Rusty, trying to get through that corner. But it looks like there's about another 1.5 feet of groove up there. Hopefully they'll get it worked up a little bit more so they'll be able to race a little bit more competitively.
One car who was very competitive the last time we were here, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the move, currently up in 3rd as we ride on board with him. Looking back at that 20 car and Joey Logano. Let's go back upstairs to Alan.
All right, Nicole, Rusty, Brad, thanks. 3 cars involved in this race for 3rd. Make it 4. Casey Kane joining in the fun as well. Kane in that 38 came down pit road 2nd on that caution flag pit stop a little while ago. Came out 13th, and now he's worked his way back up to 6th.
Yeah, making a charge, and it's not the easiest thing to do is pass these cars because he's passed a lot of good race cars in competition here, but you can see just how quick he is as he battles trying to get back to the top 5.
Well, you think about what he did last year. He won 2 races on 1-mile racetracks, and that's what we have here. A lot different as far as the configuration, but it's still the same style of racing. It's almost a short track with some speed in it, and it really does play to Stenhouse's strength.
Kane racing Joey Logano there in the 20, and that's for 5th and 6th positions. Little setback on that pit stop for the 38, Vince.
It was a 4-tire change, Alan, and they also had a problem on the left front with some lug nuts coming off. So they lost plenty of positions, as you noted. But the good thing for Casey Kane is that he really likes his car. They didn't make any adjustments during that first stop, and it's keeping him happy on this second run as well.
Vince, thanks. Watch the left front tire here. Mr. Petrie, a former tire changer at the top levels of the sport.
You know, they had track position. 4 tires was probably a good call at this point in the race, but, man, you just don't need this kind of a hiccup because you've got a lot of cars that are taking 2. You see, dropping 2 lug nuts it seems like a month to try to put those 2 lug nuts back on.
Timing it with a sundial, huh?
Yeah, a calendar.
Yeah. So in 21 laps, basically, Casey picked up about 7-8 spots and is trying to pick his way a little further forward. Kevin Harvick restarted 4th, went quickly to the lead after the only caution of the race. He's out in front of Denny Hamlin by 4 seconds. Richard Childress Racing and Harvick on the point at Phoenix. Phoenix International Raceway and the Bashas Supermarkets 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Already 80 laps into the 200-lap distance. 1 caution for debris is it. It has been a fairly clean race. Denny Hamlin dominated early. Kevin Harvick has dominated this latest stretch. Tomorrow, ABC has an NBA doubleheader. It starts with Kia NBA Countdown at 12:30 Eastern. Then at 1 Eastern, see if Jeremy Lin can keep up his surprising season as the Knicks visit Rajon Rondo and the Celtics. Then at 3:30 Eastern, after their meeting in the All-Star Game, it's Dwayne Wade and the Heat taking on Kobe and the Lakers. The NBA on ABC Sunday.
What a difference Jeremy Lin's made with the Knicks this year, huh?
Man, Kobe having to wear a mask to protect his broken nose, but didn't seem to slow him down at 31 the other night.
That's for sure. So Kevin Harvick is the leader. 20 cars on the lead lap. Looking back for Sam Hornish Jr. in the 12 car. He started this race in 6th position. He's running in 12th now.
Brakes feel off. Looks like the vibration, like the fronts are getting wore down, but I can't turn any more to the front or the rear because I get loose, they're getting in, or I just start vibrating the brakes more.
Hornish struggling a little bit with the brake balance on his car, trying to adjust it from inside the machine. For more on that, we go to our ESPN Tech Garage and champion crew chief Tim Brewer. Timmy?
Thanks, AB. What he's talking about right here, the knob inside the car on the dash, he can manipulate the brake pedal pressure. We call it the brake bias. This is a gauge that conducts the fluid to the front of the car and the rear of the car. By manipulating that knob, what he's actually doing, he's changing the pivot point right here on the master cylinders. By rotating the knob, you see the weight transfer off the front master cylinder to the rear, and what that does is makes the car rotate through the corner, changes the handling characteristic quite a bit. AB?
All right, Tim, thanks.
Yeah, that does. That's a good explanation. You can't do a lot as a driver inside the car to change the handling, but you can move that thing and really help yourself. But like I heard Sam say, he's really kind of in a box. You can't move to the rear because of one thing. You can't move to the front for another. So he's just going to have to make the best of it. He's doing a pretty good job right here past the traffic.
And they try to keep it pretty simple for the drivers. They'll put front and rear and an arrow pointing each way so they don't get confused in there which way they might be doing.
I always used to put a limit there where they couldn't turn it but so far.
You're in traffic at 100 and something miles an hour. It better be simple for you to operate. Looks simple for Kevin Harvick right now, out in front by 5 seconds over Denny Hamlin. Kevin driving today for Richard Childress Racing. Recent action in the Nationwide Series last year, recent years, has pretty well been dominated by Joe Gibbs Racing and Roush Fenway Racing, with a sprinkling of Penske Racing thrown in. Richard Childress has 5 NASCAR Nationwide Series titles and is now back after merging his team with Kevin Harvick Incorporated, and Childress looking to become a force again in this series.
If you recall, when he was big in this series, he was one of the big forces, if not the car to beat. One of these RCR cars is winning almost every other week. I think you're going to see it again. I've looked at the depth in the organization. I've walked through the garage, looked at these cars. These are some of the nicest cars I've seen in the Nationwide Series, and I see a lot of really smart people on those teams. They got great engineers, great crew chiefs, and the depth that this team has, I think you're going to see them be a force again in the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, and talking to the drivers over there in that camp, they feel like that, yes, the new equipment, you're right, Andy, is some of the nicest in that garage area, and the simulation program that RCR brings to them is something they didn't have at Kevin Harvick last year, so they feel like that's a big plus.
Change of 5th place here. Casey Kane, 38 by Joey Logano in the 20. So Kane continuing to try and make up the ground lost on the only pit stop of this race so far.
He's not obviously going to be fast enough, I don't think, to drive all the way to the lead. He's 11 seconds behind the leader, but he's got himself back in a position again whenever they do make pit stops that they can get themselves back in this race.
And that's the one thing you said, that next pit stop, they can't have another problem like this. They may get away with that first one, and sometimes you can, but this is a short race. They can't afford another hiccup on the next pit stop if Casey's going to win this thing.
Little things making a big difference in the outcome of the race. One of the themes of the day here at Phoenix as we watch Kevin Harvick continuing to stretch his lead. He's out by 6 seconds on Denny Hamlin now, but we're still shy of halfway in this race. Harvick and Richard Childress trying to break the stranglehold on victory lane in recent years, held by Roush Fenway and Joe Gibbs. They're leading now. In the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix International Raceway, southwest of downtown. Race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season has been fairly clean so far. Just one set of pit stops, a couple of minor wall scrapings, including that one by Kyle Busch. But the only yellow flag has been for debris, and Kevin Harvick, one of 2 drivers that have dominated much of the event, continues to be out in front. We're just shy of the midway point of this race, and we're down to 18 cars on the lead lap. You're looking at the top 10 across the top of the screen. A very Sprint Cup dominated roster of drivers toward the front of the field, although the exceptions are the Nationwide champ Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and a couple of Nationwide championship contenders, Elliott Sadler and Austin Dillon, running in the 8th and 9th positions. Let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and start our update with Austin Dillon in that 3 car, Jamie.
And he finds himself in the 9th position, right where he started this race. Now, on that first round of pit stops, they took left sides only. He got himself up in the top 5, and he had a little run-in with Joey Logano. Fell back outside of the top 10, and now he's fighting back. The car right now is good. Vince?
Well, the 54 of Kyle Busch, remember, they took just 2 tires on that first pit stop. Kyle didn't like it. He said, we definitely have to go to 4 tires next time. They also want to take a round of wedge out, still trying to get a handle on that car. Dave Burns?
Justin Allgaier runs 11th. He told me in practice yesterday the car just wasn't in the track, loose all the time. That's the way it was in qualifying. That's the way it was to start the race. They made a wedge adjustment on that first stop, and now it's gone the other way. It's difficult to turn. Jamie?
And Sam Hornish Jr., you heard the radio and Tim Brewer talking about his brake issue. So he adjusted that brake bias. So basically he fixed the rotation. His crew chief told him, whatever you did there, keep it up. The car is moving in the right direction. Dave?
Kenny Wallace qualified the 09 car like a man possessed. Unfortunately, lap 2 was like a man with a stuck throttle. That's exactly what the problem was that sent him back to as deep as 16th. He's made up a couple of spots since then. Right now, the car is a little bit loose. Jamie?
And Michael Annett with a new team this year. Of course, he was with Rusty Wallace last year, but he's in the familiar colors of Pilot. He's driving the famous number 43 for Richard.
And 20-year-old rookie Cole Witt, logged a career-best 4th place finish at Daytona last week. Came in here second in points. Now, but here the learning curve got very steep. That led veteran crew chief Tony Pops Urey to tell the young man, look, here you just got to cool your jets, find a veteran driver, and learn. That's why he was following Kyle Busch so much early on. Vince.
In 16th is last week's winner, James Buescher. It was too tight the first run. They made a track bar adjustment. Said he felt like it made a positive change this time. It started out loose, but now it's gone way too tight. They've got to make some more significant changes in their next pit stop for James Buescher. Now that 44 car of Mike Bliss having a good run. Bliss said that the car was too tight on that first run. They didn't make any chassis adjustments, but they did make some added tape to the grill to help it a little bit. They said it hasn't quite made the kind of change that they needed to do. Now the 11 of Brian Scott was tight center off on that first run. They made track bar and wedge adjustment. He said the wedge adjustment worked at first, but it's gone worse now. Alan?
All right, Vince. Scott, the last car on the lead lap. First car 1 lap down at the moment is Casey Roderick in 19th position. Not all that. Got a car in trouble. Caution is out. It is the 09 car of Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, that has the makings look like a right front tire went down on Kenny.
Is it done? We're done. I blew a right front tire.
Yeah, you can see the mark. That's just a hard lick right there. You lose that right front. There's no good spot on this track to do that.
No, and more than likely he was in the throttle coming up out of the corner and carrying a lot of speed right then.
It's a high braking racetrack, and you see a lot of those tracks where the high brake heat will melt the bead on the tire, and that's maybe what happened here. We've seen this tire to be pretty durable since they built this track, but that bead is real susceptible to that heat.
I was just starting literally to say, we've been on a long green run and coming up on another set of green flag pit stops, and here that usually means something happens that brings out the caution, and that's what usually happens to bring out the caution.
Yeah, you see right there, just early on, coming off the corner. He's probably, like I said, Dale, dead in the throttle, coming off the corner, and that right front goes. There's just nothing he can do.
Leaders to pit road, just past the halfway point, Vince.
Brad Keselowski pretty happy with the car in the 22. Says he's got a small vibration. They're going to make a right side air pressure adjustment, 4 tires, no other changes. Doc.
Ricky Stenhouse monitoring his green left side, so the car really tight. In traffic, trying to get up off the corner. They're going to back up on some adjustments they made before. Right upper corner, Kevin Harvick said, guys, go back on that adjustment before. One up on the track bar, 4 tires, the leader, Kevin Harvick. Dave.
Denny Hamlin likes his race car, but he can't catch Harvick right now. He'll need 4 tires, a track bar adjustment to free his car up. He'll need all the Sunoco fuel he can get, but I think he'll have to stop one more time. He's going to get the lead back, guys.
Denny Hamlin first off the pit lane.
It's a great pit crew, but that's a good pit position, too, that number 1 spot.
And if you're new to NASCAR, you earn that by qualifying. Denny Hamlin winning the pole. His team got the first pick of positions on pit road. Kenny Wallace out of his car and okay. Caution out for the second time. Cleaning up the second caution today of the Bashas Supermarkets 200 at Phoenix for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. The restart coming up in a minute. Under the yellow, let's talk to our in-race reporter for the day, Kyle Busch.
Hey, Kyle, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Yeah, DJ, what's up?
Well, man, just checking in with you. We've listened in a little bit and heard you didn't really like the 2 tires, but we also heard you say a little bit about maybe you were not as strong on the straightaways as you wanted to be.
Yeah, we're definitely lacking there. None to do, with the engine department at Triad. Those guys work hard. Got full faith in them. It's just maybe Toyota's a little bit behind. I'm not sure, but we'll get it. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we got up towards the front there, thought everything was going to be good, and then the other 2 tires that we didn't change didn't quite give me the grip that I was hoping for, and caused us to fall back a little bit there. So finally got a rhythm going there and settled in, but, trying to work on this thing, get it to turn a little better.
Kyle, is that second groove still pretty treacherous if you get up in that?
No, it's better now. The start of the race certainly was real hairy, but now it's not so bad.
All right, Kyle, thanks for talking with us. Good luck.
Thank you.
Kyle Busch running in 10th position for the moment in his Toyota. We had kind of a spirited conversation in our pre-race meeting earlier today about Kyle being in this car with his own team and the value of running for his own operation versus Joe Gibbs Racing, the engine supplier he's using versus Joe Gibbs Racing. Rusty, I know you had some definite thoughts on all that.
Well, I just think it's a great way for him to compare his equipment versus Joe Gibbs' equipment. Let's face it. He won so many races driving that number 18 car that Denny Hamlin's in right now that he's leading the race, and now Kyle is back there in 10th position. He's been complaining a lot about his engines. Not enough power down the straightaways, but I do know, and I do agree with Kyle, the guys at Triad are great engine builders, and I feel like they'll improve and get it better. But at this point, the engines are off a bit, but this is a great comparison for Kyle to say, look, last year I had this year I had that now, this is what I got now with my new car. He'll understand the handling differences, the throttle response, all kind of things. For Kyle, even though he's in 10th, guys, I think it's a good comparison because he knows what he had before.
Yeah, they're doing a great job over there with this new team getting started, but Kyle's got to have a new appreciation for the depth of that Joe Gibbs organization at getting started. He knows that it's not going to be easy.
All right, side by side on the front row, Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick. Remember, Hamlin just edging Harvick on the pit stops to get control of the race back. Theme of the day, little things having a big impact on the outcome of the race.
That pit stall might play a big role in the outcome of this thing.
90 laps to go.
We saw Brad Keselowski try to drive it down in there, got it really loose almost got up into that 33 of Kevin Harvick, and he goes for the lead once again.
And Joey Logano not giving Keselowski any slack, getting underneath him for third spot.
We saw Harvick drive off that last restart and get a big lead, but Denny Hamlin only got 2 tires on the previous yellow flag, and now they both have 4 tires. We'll see just how they stack up against each other.
It sure looks like Kevin Harvick here today has the best of all worlds. His car will take off on the restarts, but doesn't give up anything as they get a lot of laps on the tires either.
And every time we've seen his in-car, his steering wheel's not moving around. He's not chasing the car. This could be a really long day for the rest of the competition.
Oh, see some contact there. That's Trevor Bayne trying to get around Brad Keselowski, but got up into the side of the 22.
And here comes his teammate, Bayne's teammate, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Going to be a little opportunistic here.
Well, you get to see Stenhouse getting a little bit loose down on the inside also.
Casey Kane, how low can you go?
Wow. Oh, Stenhouse is really driving this car hard right now, but it's costing him a little bit.
That's tight.
That's tight.
Wow. Justin Allgaier in the 31 in a very vulnerable spot. Stenhouse gave him a break there.
Michael Annett making a charge here in that 43. He had a good run at Daytona, was very aggressive, running well again today. Cole Witt, rookie. He's seen the other guys do that. He decided he'd try it.
Yeah, I watched lap times that last run, and towards the last half of that run, Cole Witt had the top 3 fastest lap times pretty consistently. He's got a good car.
Oh, hang on, Michael Annett.
Hold it up there. Let's get going here.
Think he might
He
have
held
caught
on
the
to
right
it,
side.
but he did catch the wall.
There it is.
Yeah, he caught it pretty good, too.
Here. You're all right. Everything's fine. No smoke.
Yeah, they might tell him it's okay. That's a hard enough hit to have some effect on the car. You can see he started powering back up. He's up in that second, almost the third groove.
Almost. Yeah, just almost kept it out, but you lose so much more grip the further out of the groove that you get, and it's just almost impossible to save it right there. Well, Kyle did a good job of missing it.
Annett was running in 12th at the time he popped the wall off of turn 4. Kevin Harvick around Denny Hamlin after the last restart. He is back on point. Harvick and Hamlin pretty much neck and neck for most laps led today. There may be second half of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Phoenix. Kevin Harvick out in front by 1 second over Denny Hamlin, who runs in the number 2 position. That is a Las Vegas casino providing sponsorship on Kevin Harvick's Richard Childress Racing entry this weekend. Transitioning us to talking about next week's race.
Going to Vegas, baby.
Viva! NASCAR Nationwide Series running the very high speed and very treacherous Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is a handful for these drivers. We've had some dramatic finishes there the last few years. Why not another showstopper next Saturday? Coverage, ESPN2, 5 Eastern Time, and you'll be with us. Coverage also streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app.
It's a fast track out there.
Yeah, it is. High speed and fun for the driver, especially if you've got a good car.
Talk about running on the ragged edge.
Yes.
You are. So a look back through much of the top 10. Actually, all of the top 10 to the race for 10th and 11th. Sam Hornish Jr. in the 12. That bright yellow car is running 10th. Yo, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Hello, I'm coming calling.
Yeah, that's his calling card.
You're fighting a fight here that you're not going to win. You got to be smoother than this. Come on.
I'm fighting a loose race car is what I'm fighting.
Spotter Mike Kalanoff talking to the driver there.
That's the driver talking back to the spotter, telling him what he's fighting. And when you're fighting a loose race car and doing all you can do, you really don't need somebody telling you that you're fighting a losing battle. He's working hard in there, Doc.
He really is. It's amazing what a small adjustment on these cars will do. He said the car was really tight in traffic prior to that pit stop, and all they did, Andy and DJ, was take a half a pound of air out of the right rear, and now, as you heard him say a moment ago, this car is sideways under throttle, really, really loose here on the racetrack.
And that we were talking about, Alan, little things make a difference. Half a pound air pressure really changes these cars.
Best part of that adjustment, air's free.
It is free.
Caution brought out a little while ago. brought young Casey Roderick back onto the lead lap. He was the free pass recipient. The caution came out for Kenny Wallace, who wound up in the wall in turn 4. Let's hear from him.
And he blew a right rear, and he is okay. And Kenny, I know this is disheartening for you and for this team. You've been tweeting this weekend talking about your status with this team. You guys need sponsorship. Moving forward, what does this mean for you and this team?
Well, first of all, just want to let everybody know what happened was, the right front tire, it blew out like a bomb. It just shocked me. I had no idea it was going to blow out. But about 4 laps before that, I told crew chief Scott Zipadelli, I said, hey, we're picking up a pretty big push. Sitting there battling Sam Hornish and trying to get underneath him. So that's what happened. I don't know why it blew out. But as far as sponsorship, it's just pretty simple. I've got a great race team, RAB Racing with Brack Maggart. We're tight. We're together. We're a good team, and we just need sponsorship. So I'm going to be in it the first 5 races, and I want to stay racing in it. So, just looking for a sponsor.
Thanks, Kenny. Alan?
All right, Jamie, Kenny Wallace started 3rd today, but is in the garage. A number of other drivers in the garage with him. Out of the race also Blake Cook, J.J. Yaley. Morgan Shepherd has gone to the garage. Mike Harmon, Josh Wise, Chase Miller, Scott Speed, and Jeff Green. Also just going to the garage, Charles Lewandowski and Darrell Haar. The attrition rate growing here at Phoenix. Kevin Harvick's lead's growing as well. Very quickly, coming to the 3/4 mark of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race, Phoenix International Raceway. Kevin Harvick, the race leader, has been out in front for much of the middle stages of this event. Denny Hamlin led the opening stages, then Harvick went out in front and has been pacing the race basically ever since. Just a couple of cautions, one for debris, one for Kenny Wallace, who had a right front go down. Goodyear saying the bead where the tire seals to the rim melted by brake heat was the cause of that. And of drivers who have gained the most positions on the race, tip of the cap to Benny Gordon, whose team barely got here in time to even race. A late arriving entry there. And Kevin Harvick, who started a little deep in the pack, but quickly rocketed his way up toward the front.
Yeah, and you saw James Bush's name on there, the winner last week at Daytona, doing a nice job here in a backup car after having a little problem yesterday.
One of the cars since the restart that's really been moving up and running quick lap times. Watch them. Some of the lap times actually the quickest on the track is Austin Dillon now in this 3 car. He's really had to struggle with this track position. He got caught a couple of times in traffic and really had to yield. He did a good job to keep his car from getting torn up. Had a little hiccup on the last pit stop getting to his pit stall, but he's doing a good job on the track.
Hands full there. Brian Scott in the yellow 11 car. The Daytona winner James Busher in the 30. 3 wide Michael Annett in the 43. Hello.
Can he make that stick? I think he did. I thought that damage he might have gotten hitting that turn 4 wall might have hurt this car more, but he's been coming back forward. Speaking of Michael Annett in the 43.
See, Brian Scott tried the little crossover move, but looks like Annett's going to be able to hold him off.
That was driving the car far down into turn 1, that Michael Annett last lap.
Well, we've been noticing, Michael Annett, even at Daytona, Dale, you kept talking about how aggressive he was last week, and he's been aggressive today. So I think maybe he has a little different attitude going into the 2012 season.
I think he's got that, and he's got a lot of horsepower under the hood in that Ford. I think
can change your attitude.
Definitely, yeah, can make you more aggressive.
I have to be impressed with the start they've had. They were a factor at Daytona last week for a brand new team right out of the box and trying to recover from some trouble a little while ago. Michael Annett running in 14th position. Kevin Harvick leading Denny Hamlin by 1 second here at Phoenix.
56 to go at Phoenix International Raceway, and if you're just joining us, a guy who's had a lot of success here at the past races, Kyle Busch, struggling a little bit today.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit early. Right now he's struggling with his pit stop pressure. You see the guys complaining. He gets high there. He gets in the wall. Kind of realigns that rear end of that car. Might have made it a little bit better than Kenny. Blows the right front tire. Brad, it kills that car.
Well, I tell you, that's a tough break for Kenny, as we heard, looking for sponsorship opportunities. But yeah, that bead goes on that tire. There's nothing you can do. Gets up, destroys race car.
Class of the field all day long. The driver of the 33, that is Kevin Harvick.
He can go anywhere with this race car. And just like DJ said earlier, his restarts have been excellent. He can run high, he can run low. He is dominating this race today.
Currently more than a second and a half ahead of the guy in second place. That is Denny Hamlin. And we are coming up on pit stops, the final ones for the day. One of the guys calling the shot for the driver in second place right now, Denny Hamlin, is standing by with Dave Burns.
And Nicole, last year Matt Lucas was the engineer on this car when it went start to finish and led every lap. This year he's promoted to crew chief and now promoted to making a big decision here. What can you do to try to help Denny and to get Kevin?
Well, I think it's going to come down to whether it's a yellow flag stop or a green flag stop or what happened. We just got to be off pit road faster than he does. Track position's everything.
You guys talked about that earlier. Their spot here on pit road, very good for winning the race off pit road if he can just hang on to the lead.
They had track position after that last pit stop, just couldn't hold it.
Yeah, the restart, just like the last race here last November, came down to a late restart when Sam Hornish Jr. came off pit road second to Ricky Stenhouse and got away from him on the restart. Kevin Harvick came off pit road second to Denny Hamlin there and got away from him on the restart. So I would suspect while we watch this race for position between Joey Logano and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., that's for 7th and 8th spots.
Yeah, Stenhouse making a nice recovery. Saw him lose a lot of spots, extremely loose on that restart. Talking about his car being loose, I believe it's coming around to him some. He's worked his way back now to that 7th spot.
So let me just go back and finish up the thought I started in on there with Hamlin. If you're inside that 18 car and you saw that last restart, are you thinking about that next restart while you're racing inside the car and what you might be able to do differently?
You might think about that a little, especially if we get another caution or something like that you let that. Right now, you're just thinking about what can I do to get my car better? Where's Kevin Harvick so much better than me that I can relay that message to my crew chief that maybe we can make an adjustment that will help us even more than the restart possible.
Yeah, I'm on the pit box looking at these if I'm his crew chief, and I say, well, we're stabilized right now. Matter of fact, last lap, Denny Hamlin had the fastest lap time. You know, really all the time they were losing is just a few laps after the restart to Harvick. So I would have to think of something like air pressure, or maybe you just quiz my driver, hey, do you need to be a little freer, a little tighter on these restarts? What's it going to take to be able to hold that lead?
Kevin Harvick legging it out just a little bit. Coming up to put Danica Patrick, what would be a 3rd lap down. She's in 21st place, Vince.
Yeah, you know, she says that the car was way too tight on the previous run, so they made an air pressure and a wedge adjustment, but she says now it's extremely loose. Tony Eury Jr. had the goal. He said, I'm not hitting anything and staying on the track all day, and if we do that, I think we're going to finish 8 to 14th. Well, they haven't hit anything, and they've stayed on the track, but they're not in that 8 to 14th range just yet.
All right, Vince, thanks.
Yeah, she's been, as I've watched here, she's been about 4 to 5 tenths off per lap of what Kevin Harvick. Of course, he's setting a blistering pace here, but that's kind of their goal, is to get closer to that if you can improve the car for and help her.
Yeah, one problem they have is that start position, starting in the 30th. That's just hard to overcome at a track like this. It's so critical for track position. Your car even handles different when you start back there. It just really never does perform like you expect it to.
Kevin Harvick picking his way past the race leader, past the 3/4 mark of this race. Another round of pit stops to go, and a history of late cautions here as well.
You got to ask me who I root for between Duke and North Carolina?
I want the Tar Heels to win.
Neither one. I'm Tennessee Orange all the way, so sorry, Carolina.
I could care less. I'm from California.
Hopefully we can beat them at Cameron Indoor Stadium. I was at the game that we played them at home, and we just gave it to them the last 2 minutes of the game.
It was an exciting game for sure.
I don't understand Duke fans. They can't even spell the name of their school correctly. It's D-O-O-K. I don't understand where they get the other initials from.
Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV at 7 Eastern. It's D-U-K-E
no, it's
and
not.
UNC.
Elliot was right. D-O-O-K. against UNC tonight. And that Trevor Bain kid, how do you spell his last name? B-A-Y-N-E? I'm going to remember that. And I do. Cole Witt's a good-looking young man. He's going to go far.
I see what you're wearing today. You've got your Carolina blue on.
About an hour away, baby. It's time to get it on.
College basketball on ESPN, ESPN3, and also streaming live on WatchESPN.com, the Watch ESPN app. That is tonight at 7. There is Elliott Sadler, the big UNC fan, the best of the rest. He's in 5th, trailing Kevin Harvick by about 4.5 seconds. Harvick, caution is out.
All right, Nicole, yellow flag here, very timely for the race leaders. Turn 4 debris is the report from NASCAR. Caution out with 37 laps to go.
Well, they can make it all the way from here, so this is going to be a real money stop for everybody up front.
Quite a few laps on the tires. You have to go for 4 with what we've seen so far?
You don't have to.
Would you advise?
I would love to have 4 tires on my car, but right now track position is so critical. You know, being the leader, Harvick has put 4 tires on all day long. If I'm his crew chief, I put 4 on again and take whatever starting position I get and try to win this thing. On the other hand, if you've got some cars back there that have really struggled for track position, this is an opportunity.
Last set of pit stops, Denny Hamlin's crew there. Got the 18 car off the pit lane first, ahead of Kevin Harvick, but Harvick was able to get by him on the restart. What will this round of pit stops bring? 36 laps to go, Vince.
Casey Kane won the Cup race here last November. He'd like to add a nationwide victory to his list of success, but he says it's still a little bit too tight on the right front. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment there and a 4-tire change. Jamie?
And Elliott Sadler, this came just at the right time. He thought he had trash on his grill. You see him working on the left-hand side of the car. They're going to put just enough fuel to get to the end of the race. He's down and away. Doc?
Kevin Harvick said, I'm worried about that 38 car. Really good. 4 tires, half around, down on the track bar, trying to tighten up Harvick. Dave.
New crew chief Matt Lucas asked Denny Hamlin what he wanted. He threw it right back at him. He said, you tell me. They took 2 left side tires and topped off the Sunoco fuel. Interesting.
Yeah, saw a little strategy play on several fronts along the pit lane, setting up what should be a very interesting restart. We'll reset the strategy and see how it all turns out when we come back to Phoenix in a minute. Coming down to the final stages of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series 200-miler at Phoenix International Raceway. And the third caution of the race brought about a set of pit stops and a wild variety of strategies that have shuffled the running order. Kevin Harvick, who has dominated much of the middle and later stages of this race, finds himself lined up 7th on the restart. Everyone in front of him took either fuel only or 2 tires. Some just fresh rights, some just fresh lefts.
Yeah, we saw this work for Sam Hornish in the last race here. He took right sides and obviously won the race. I really still like the strategy of getting 4 on Kevin Harvick's car, but I wasn't counting on this many people getting 2 and being in front of him.
33 to go. Gonna be close in there. Mike Wallace off the pace. Brad Keselowski comes out with the lead.
Another driver that took 4 back in that pack is Casey Kane, who had worked his way back up to 2nd again. He made a 3-wide move down the back straightaway on the high side, not down on that apron.
Like Austin Dillon now going to use that apron on the dog leg.
Elliott Sadler 2, Denny Hamlin 18. This for 2nd place.
Both of these drivers took 2 left side tires on their pit stop.
3 wide behind them. Kevin Harvick, bold move to the inside. Look at him wrestling that wheel in that 33 car.
Got one in the wall now. Here goes Harvick.
Stay in it, just stay in it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Outside the 20. Outside the 20.
What a save by Harvick.
Yeah, in the old configuration, he'd had nowhere to go. He'd have been in serious trouble, but that runoff area there they have now saved Kevin Harvick. Still got a chance at this.
He'd have clobbered the inside wall a ton there.
See him get Trevor Bain a little bit loose right there.
Casey Kane off the pace, losing a little ground.
Now, I think Casey was the one that caught that wall.
The right side's tore all to hell.
He hit it hard, too. You can see a little smoke trailing from the car.
Yeah, he's got a lot of problems now.
All right, off turn 2.
You see, Casey got 4 tires, and he's up just out of that groove, boy, and you can see how much grip you lose.
And how hard he hit that wall. I didn't think it was that hard at first glance, but boy.
Yeah. Look at Harvick. Man, look at how far down he had to go to save that car.
Back to live action. 3rd place, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 6. Denny Hamlin in the 18.
Ricky Stenhouse, we reported that he got no tires, just fuel that last caution. Just in front of this group, you can see Elliott Sadler has run down the 22 of Brad Keselowski.
And Kevin Harvick is still back in 7th place. That's where he restarted. That little being forced wide like that cost him all the ground he'd already made up.
Yeah, time's running out for Harvick. He knows it. He's got to make something happen quick. There's only 27 laps to go.
That's Austin Dillon in that 3. He's done a great job here today. He has a fast race car, and he's got himself in a few positions that could have created problems, but he's really used his head well, getting himself in this race.
Scoring serial there on Austin Dillon. If you weren't with us earlier in the race, he got knocked up out of the groove, lost a number of spots, and had to regroup. And it took some time.
Yeah, it's just like Dale said. Here now, challenge for the lead by Elliott Sadler.
I talked to Elliott today, and I said, the difference in coming here from last year, where he had trouble at Daytona, he said, Dale, I felt like that I had to really be protective and not have another bad race, or we wouldn't even have a chance. I said, can you be more aggressive in trying to get that win that you're after? He said, we're going after it today.
Well, he just took it away from Brad Keselowski. You see Keselowski now fighting his car a little.
Kevin Harvick, 5th place on Austin Dillon. So can Harvick find a way to close all the way to the front, make up the ground lost on that last round of pit strategy? He's going to have to pass his Childress Racing teammate Elliott Sadler to get the lead back. Phoenix International Raceway, closing laps of today's Bashas Supermarkets 200. Elliott Sadler out in front after a late strategy scramble on the pit lane and some pretty good action after a restart. Sadler up by 9/10 of a second on Brad Keselowski, with Stenhouse Jr. and Harvick running 3rd and 4th. Jamie?
And Luke Lambert is the new crew chief for this 2 team this year. You guys took the lead, but you told him after that last stop, you said, we have enough fuel to the end, but he's leading now. Where do you stand?
We should be pretty good there. We put gas in it, but we didn't fill it all the way up, but we should have plenty to go to the end. So.
How are your nerves right now? First time leading as a crew chief here.
I'm a little bit nervous, but we'll see what happens. We'll be good.
All right, he's got a smile on his face. Pretty calm, Alan.
Yeah, Luke Lambert, he just kind of rolled the dice a little bit because the fuel load being light is definitely an advantage, and he calculated how much fuel they needed. He put in, I'm sure, a little reserve, but he didn't put a whole lot more than they really need to get to the end, and that's going to be a little bit of an advantage speed-wise for Elliott.
Because should he have checked with Alan Bestwick to see what the likelihood of a green-white checker here is?
Yeah, what is that likelihood, Alan?
Let's see, 75% likelihood of a caution in the last 20 laps based on recent history here.
Well, let's hope Luke put enough gas in it for at least one.
And by the way, Phoenix is the track. Since they've done the green-white checker finishes in the Nationwide Series, there have been more at this track than any other. 7 of them.
Wow.
Don't
tell Luke till after the race.
I'm just saying. That's all. Elliott Sadler came back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series last year, looking to rebuild his career, if you will. He finished 2nd in the championship, but he didn't win a race, and a lot of folks looked at that fact as creating a disappointing season interpretation of the results versus the fact that he finished 2nd in the championship. Here he is now in the 2nd race of this season and determined more than anything to not only win the championship this year, but to win races. Note I didn't say race, I said races.
Yeah, he feels very strongly that he's in a position to do that. He really likes the crew that he's surrounded with. He thinks that being at RCR is a huge advantage with these new cars and all the technology that Andy talked about earlier, and could be paying off very early in the season here today.
Yeah, he's got 15 laps to hold off a lot of fast cars, though. You can see that gap is not really growing between him and Brad Keselowski, and you see Stenhouse right behind him.
Doesn't have to grow, it just doesn't need to shrink.
Yeah, but it can turn on you.
Side, yeah.
Yeah, and something these drivers are going to face too, Andy, we were talking about a little bit ago, is the sun entering turn 1 now as we get these races out here.
How big of a factor is that? I mean, you've raced at this racetrack since they built these grandstands. Does that help any in that situation, or is it still bad?
Yes, it helps some, but it's not there to help right now because the sun's still too high, but it does become a problem for you.
Driving into the sun there, then into the shadows where the grandstands in turns 1 and 2 block that sunlight. 13 laps to go. Sadler's lead holding steady by 0.7 of a second over Keselowski, with Kevin Harvick still a distant 2 seconds back in 4th place. So the man who led the majority of this race, trapped in the pack by strategy and not able to get through and contend for the win, at least at this point. Vince?
Don't count out Brad Keselowski just yet. They just radioed in and told him he cut off 2/10 off that lead of Elliott Sadler as Sadler comes into a little bit of traffic. Keselowski's car was near perfect on the last run. He said it's a little bit freer on this stint, but he feels like he's closing the gap on Elliott Sadler. Not many left to go. Here he comes.
Yeah, I think there's 2 big factors here that could hamper Sadler winning this race. One would be lap traffic. Where do you catch that it doesn't slow down your momentum? And the other, obviously, would be a caution flag to let everybody catch up.
And Brad Keselowski, he's like a bulldog. He's so relentless. I mean, he is not going to give up 1/100th of a second these last few laps, and he's going to give him all he's got.
That checkered flag's getting close, and the scent attracting that bulldog.
Yeah. See Harvick, he's got a fast car. His lap times, I look at the sheet here, he's about the fastest car on the track, but he still has a lot of ground to make up.
Remember Harvick leading, coming onto pit road, last stop, came out 7th after everybody else did a different strategy.
Yeah, and that lap, Austin Dillon was the quickest car on the track.
Nice job by the grandson of his team owner, Richard Childress. Saw Richard standing down by that car the other day and talked to him about his return to the Nationwide Series as an owner, and he was talking about everybody else but Austin and how happy he was and how important it was to him that this do well. And then he looked at me and he said, and besides, grandkids got to do well.
Well, they're right now they're 1st, 4th, and 5th on the track, so Richard has to be pretty proud of that.
Yes, sir. And the most recent winner here at Phoenix, Sam Hornish Jr., shuffled back in the early going. They used a little strategy on that last stop as well, and Sam's running in 6th position.
He's been struggling with the brake pedal a little bit, and I think that's kind of hurt him. He had to use that strategy to try to get some of that track position, but just couldn't keep it.
Well, I'm watching Brad Keselowski really drive his car off into the corner, trying to run down Elliott Sadler. Sadler's caught traffic at a couple of places that have slowed him down. He's got it down to about under 0.6 of a second now.
It was 0.8 of a second, a little bit ago.
How much are you looking in the mirror right now, Dale, if you're Elliott?
That's all that you have right now is to look in the mirror. Your spotter's telling you somewhat, but you look in the mirror just gauging on what they do. You want to be looking ahead. You're trying to figure out where you can catch this traffic and not slow your momentum as much, but you're keeping a good eye on that man coming behind you.
6-4.
Double wide lap traffic in front of the leaders. 39, Joey Gase. 52, Tim Schendel.
Elliott saying, let's sort it out, boys. Got to go.
Yeah, I thought he might be really ready to go to the apron there, but these cars did a nice job of getting out of his way. See, Keselowski continues to cut this gap down some, though. Right here's where it's really important if he has to go to the outside.
Well, he's there. He is there.
Well, there's no more traffic for a while for Sadler, so if he has the better car right now, keep his composure about him. He's won races before, so he knows how to get the job done.
And by the way, thinking back to Daytona last week, where the top 10 crashed and the 11th place guy won, if the top 2 tangle, there's Stenhouse in that 6 right there in position to take advantage.
Yeah, he's close enough to get in the wreck, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the first 10 wreck like we did last week.
No.
Didn't ever expect to see that there. Sadler actually made a better lap right there. He almost beat Keselowski by almost 2/10 that time.
20 and 18 teammates Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin had a little bumper tag earlier when the 20 went by the 18. Now they're racing for position in rather tight quarters. We'll keep an eye on that. But got to watch this race for the lead.
3 to go, 3.
Behind the wheel of that 2 car, there's got to be so much pressure on the driver of the leader. The other guys are chasing him. They have everything to gain. And that race leader's got everything to lose if he messes up the line, misses his braking point, does something to get that car off where it needs to be on the track.
Yeah, it's like Dale said, it's hard to get that first win, and you can, you give away some of them because of nerves, but Elliott Sadler's won before, and I'm sure he knows, and he's pretty composed there in this position.
Yeah, he's won in the Cup Series. He's won nationwide races, but it's tough when you're trying to get back to victory lane after things haven't gone your way for a while. It makes it difficult, but he's doing a nice job here, and as Alan said, it only takes driving in a little bit too far by a few feet, and you find yourself up out of the groove.
Coming to the white flag. Some traffic ahead, should not be a factor in the finish. And there's 1 mile to go.
Man, clear by 3. Bring it home.
Sadler, Keselowski, Stenhouse. Can Keselowski get close enough to put the bumper to him? Will Sadler make a slip and open the door? Final corners. Been a long time, October 1998, since Elliott Sadler won a NASCAR Nationwide Series race. He'll be first to the checkers today in Phoenix. Sadler wins it.
Nice job, Elliott. You are the man. Good job, everybody. Way to go.
Hamlin and Logano settle out that position cleanly.
Oh, yeah, baby! Yeah! Hell of a job, man.
Thanks for all the tools and the confidence there, boss man.
It's the first win for Luke Lambert as a crew chief.
Way to go, buddy. Congratulations, all you guys.
Well, Elliott Sadler might be a little late to catching that Duke Carolina game tonight, Jamie, because they're going to be celebrating for a while.
Well, Luke, I don't know if you realize this. It's been since 1998 since your driver has been to victory lane in the Nationwide Series. Your second race as a crew chief. How'd you make it look so easy together?
I didn't quite hear the question there, but I don't know. It was a great day. I just want to thank everybody that's been a part of the Nationwide program here. It's been a really strong team effort. Everybody from KHI that came over, everybody from RCR that internally came in, and it's been a really good team effort. So this is a win, not just for this team, but for everybody in that organization. So it's a pretty exciting day for all of us.
All right, let's see if he knows his way to victory lane, guys.
I'll bet he'll figure it out, Jamie. The celebration is on here at Phoenix. And Elliott Sadler, after being frustrated in 2011, just 2 races into 2012, is going to victory lane in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Funny circumstances and storylines sometimes. It was just in November at this racetrack. Elliott Sadler trying to stay in contention for the NASCAR Nationwide Series championship and got swept up in a wreck in the second to last race of the season. His car heavily damaged. His championship hopes ended at that moment, much to his dismay. Just a few months later, same sight. The happiest of occasions. After some strategy by his crew chief Luke Lambert on the last pit stop of the race, gained him some track position. Sadler went to the lead after the last restart and did the rest from there to break a long dry spell in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And in just his second race, driving for Richard Childress as the team owner, Sadler and Childress are going to victory lane.
As he pulled into victory lane, he said, "It has been too long." Elliot, I know last year one of the biggest disappointments for you was not getting here to Victory Lane. How long have you been thinking about this moment?
For a long time. It's been a long time since I've been to Victory Lane, and we think about it a lot because this is what we do. I got to thank One Main Financial so much. They stand behind me, stood behind us last year. Chevrolet does so much for our race team and everybody at RCR and ECR. Hunt Brothers Pizza, Coca-Cola. Richard Childress, this is so awesome. He said he's going to give us the stuff we needed to win with. Just that attitude he has with me, that believes in me, has meant a lot to me, and it's so awesome for us to come in with a great finish today.
Elliot, you guys underwent so many changes on this 2 team. You mentioned a KHI to RCR. There's RC right behind you coming up. New crew chief this time. What do you think was the biggest factor in getting you guys off on the right foot and back to Victory Lane?
Well, our guys have been working very hard. If you back at RCR from December 1st to where we're at now, they did a lot of work in the shop, getting it prepared, getting a lot of good cars prepared. We got a lot more coming in the pike too, but I think Luke made some great calls and some great adjustments. We had good pit stops today. Just a great team effort, man. I'm so happy right now. I say hello to my wife and my 2 kids back at home, and can't wait to see y'all tonight.
Elliot Sadler, still your point leader, and he's back in Victory Lane. Alan?
Jamie, we talked about at the start of the day, opportunity with only 3 former winners at this racetrack in the field in the Nationwide Series. Who could take advantage of the opportunity? This was one of the guys that our analyst called out, and he's in Victory Lane celebrating a win with crew chief Luke Lambert and team owner Richard Childress. By the way, RC's other 2 cars, check this out to the finish line. Austin Dillon edging Kevin Harvick for a position and a point toward the championship. More post-race Victory Lane coverage coming up. A look at the top 10 finishers in today's NASCAR Nationwide Series. 200-miler at Phoenix International Raceway. Elliot Sadler atop that list.
Yeah, we said it was going to be an opportunity, and a lot of guys took advantage of that. You see Austin Dillon getting a top 5 finish, and then Michael Annett, good run at 10.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's what I was looking at. Trevor Bayne needed a good run, trying to attract some sponsorship there. They continue to run in the top 10.
Well, Kevin Harvick was the leader at the last pit stop. He finished 5th. Brad Keselowski was the guy passed for the lead for the final time. He finished 2nd. Let's hear from him.
So close. 2nd last week at Daytona, 2nd this week. How close are you to getting to Victory Lane?
You know, it's been a great start for Jeremy Bowens and the Discount Tire team. You know, Jeremy came over to this team as the new crew chief to start this year. And 2 second-place finishes, that's a lot to be proud of. But, you know, we want to win, too. So close, but just needed a little bit more out of our Dodge today. But great effort by the whole team. And, you know, it's great to see Elliot Sadler win a nationwide regular. And you know, that's so important to this series as well. So, you know, all in all, a good day for us and a great day for the series.
They were letting you know that you were gaining on him. Did you think you were going to catch him?
Maybe. You know, my car was a lot stronger compared to Elliot's on the long run than short run, and we needed some more laps, but, man, if you'd have made one little mistake, we'd have had him.
Brad Keselowski, 2nd today. Doc?
And Kevin Harvick led 107 laps today. Kevin, all day long you took 4 tires and you drove right back by. When that final stop, 4 tires didn't work for you. Why?
Well, I think we got a little bit further back than what we expected. I think we restarted 7th, and then the 38 got loose, and we about spun out and just got behind. And really, our car just didn't handle like it did out front. It was loose, it was tight. But you want to congratulate Elliot Sadler, everybody in this RCR Nationwide shop. South Point Casino Chevrolet was good most of the day. We just 50-50 there at the end. You win some, you lose some, and we don't like losing any more than the other guy. But we're going to keep our heads up and know that we had a fast car today and go to the next one.
Just over 30 laps ago, Dale Jarrett was talking about a remarkable job you did saving the car from getting up in the wall. How close was that?
It was shattered. The rear tire was pretty good, so it was definitely. I was glad that there was a lot of asphalt down there and not dirt, so it was a fun ride.
Okay, good run today, buddy. And how about the guy who owns these cars? 3 finishers in the top 5 today. Jamie Little standing by with Richard Childress.
It's been a great day for Richard Childress. He's been all smiles here. But, Richard, you've undergone a lot to get all the KHI cars and company into your shop. What has this been like for you to get back in the Nationwide Series with 3 cars?
Well, I mean, it's great to be back here. And with Elliot's first win, I think you said since 98, and the other 2 in the top 5. And Kevin had just an awesome car all day long, and just proud of everybody. It was a lot of hard work from the time we did it. Can't thank Kevin and Delana enough for helping us get this thing up and getting it going, and we'll win a bunch of races with these guys before the year's over.
And how about your crew chief, Luke Lambert? You've decided to move him over here to the Nationwide Series full-time. What did you see in him, and what did you see between the 2 of them?
Well, I knew that what Luke was made of, and I felt what Elliott needed from just watching and listening to the last several races last year, and I just thought it'd be a great combination, and it's worked out.
Congratulations. Richard Childress back in victory lane at Phoenix. Vince?
And his grandson is happy today as well. Austin Dillon finishes 4th, but you might have passed the most cars on track today. Track position was an issue, it seemed like, throughout the course of the day. What was the situation there?
Well, we took 2 tires and about wrecked off of 4 that one time and lost a lot of track position, but we were able to work our way up there. I want to thank Nationwide for putting on a great series, man. This is awesome. It was good racing today. We really were able to pass quite a bit, and the Advocare Chevrolet was really good. Just didn't have enough at the end to get there, but I want to thank all my sponsors, Tag Heuer, Bass Pro Shops, and American Ethanol. The RCR teams are back in victory lane at Nationwide Series. It's nice to see.
Congratulations. Austin Dillon 4th today. Dave? Vince, Denny Hamlin led 56 laps today, but only had a 9th place finish to show for it. Denny, you were involved in the 2-tire discussion, but then were you surprised when you got 2 left sides?
Yeah, I mean, this is, you got to give Matt a little bit of a break. This is his first couple races doing some, actual race strategy. And so, we decided to take lefts there on the left. And I've personally never done it in my career, not even in Cup, taking left side tires. But, won the race here in the fall, and it just didn't work well for our car today. Our GameStop Toyota just got too loose at the end, and we were just a ping pong ball there at the end. You hung in there. As far as strategizing with Matt going forward, you'll be in the car about half the races this season. So what's your best advice for the new crew chief? Don't take left side tires. No, it's, one positive is that we had a strong race car. We know we had a top 2 or 3 car today. It's just we can build on that, and we can get the strategy stuff figured out. But, the important thing is you got a car that's capable of winning.
Yep, he had a strong showing up until late in the race.
Dave, thanks, and we look ahead now for the NASCAR Nationwide Series to 1 week from today when we go from this Phoenix Mile to the very fast 1.5 mile Las Vegas Motor Speedway next Saturday, 5 Eastern, ESPN2. That's a fast and tricky racetrack.
Yeah, they went in there and made some changes to that track a few years ago, progressive banking, and the drivers really love it. It is a fun event.
Had a couple of finishes in recent years with real twists of plot in the end. Hope you'll join us. ESPN2, 5 Eastern next Saturday, also streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Only one of the top 5 we haven't heard from so far is 3rd place finisher Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Doc.
With Ricky Stenhouse Jr., reigning series champion. And Ricky, explain to us how everybody in front of you can take 2 or 4 tires on that last stop. You took none, and yet you were quicker than them down the stretch.
Well, our Roush Fenway 25 years of winning Mustang was super fast all weekend long. Same car we brought here in the fall. And, at the end of the runs, we were really good. It just took us 15 laps to get going. And, that's where we struggled. And, we just got to get going on those restarts. I got to thank Nationwide Insurance, NOS, everybody that's helping us out. We got to get going on these restarts. 3rd was a good day for us.
Ricky Stenhouse, a top 5 every time he has run a Nationwide car here at Phoenix.
All right, Doc, thanks. And Dale and Andy wrapping up a couple of themes we talked about at the start of the day. Turn 3 didn't turn out to be all that tricky today, but the pit strategy and the restarts were critical in deciding the outcome.
Yeah, this series has become so competitive that those little things, you talked about it before the race started, those little things make such a big difference. And that decision for that 33 team of Harvick to take 4 tires, it really cost them. They didn't expect so many cars to take 2 and put them back in 7th. But it made a big difference for that 2 car. And talk about little things, they just put enough fuel in that car to make it to the end, and that was another key thing.
And for Elliott Sadler, someone who hasn't won in a long time at the Nationwide Series. Last win in the Sprint Cup Series was in 2004. He has won a couple of races in NASCAR's Truck Series in recent years. What does this mean to a driver like Elliott to hold that trophy today?
Yeah, for someone like Elliott, I think the biggest thing is probably confidence. He's been beat down a little bit. Whenever things don't go well, you're in the Cup Series, and next thing you know, you end up in the Nationwide Series, which is not a bad option for you, but you really want to produce there. And this is going to give himself and the team confidence in him. And I think that's the big word, that this race team now, I believe, will win 2, 3, maybe even 4 more races before this is over.
When you compete for a living, nothing replaces winning. Nothing. And Elliott Sadler competes for a living, and he is celebrating and taking the photos in victory lane here at Phoenix today in just the 2nd race of this NASCAR Nationwide Series season. Well, Trevor Bayne wanted to win the race today, had to settle for 7th, Dave.
Well, 6th place for Trevor Bain, but I think based on what we saw in practice and kind of what you thought today, not quite what you wanted.
No, it's not exactly. I think last time we were here, they had some short runs, and we waited too long for our car to be good. It'd be good after 30 laps. So we got to go on the short runs, and then you run long runs all day. So we just kind of missed it. Chad and I tightened it up too much, so it just faded too bad. Beginning of the race, I thought we were going to be ones to race for the win. We could drive up through the field really, really good for the first 10 laps, and then it would just fade. So disappointed with that run. We were running for a championship this year. I think it's a solid run, but when you got 3 races here to make the best of them, you want to get some wins, you want to get top 3s, top 5s. So a 7th place finish is all right for this team, especially when it's thrown together. You know, we've got a very limited amount of guys. R&D team's crewing this thing. Chad Norris and I, just kind of last minute stuff. It's the same exact car that ran here last year, nothing touched. So, you know, Roush, they all did a great job preparing this thing for me, but we got to get some more races, man. We need some funding on the hoods of these things so we can run for a championship this year.
Great job today.
Thank you.
Dave, thanks. So Trevor Bain with a top 10 run here at Phoenix today, and we look at the upcoming schedule for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Interesting variety of racetracks from the very, very fast to the Bristol Bull Ring.
Yeah, we can't wait to get to Bristol. We're going to see some action there.
Yeah, and then you go to Auto Club Speedway in California, 2-mile racetrack, fast again.
Yep, Texas, Richmond, so on. Join us at the racetrack, NASCAR.com/tickets, or of course, coverage of all the Nationwide Series events on the ESPN networks. Well, Kyle Busch was our in-race reporter today. Probably didn't get the result he was hoping for. Dave?
Well, I think that's an understatement, Alan. But you ran hard. Assess the day for us, car owner, driver, Kyle Busch.
We're missing a little bit, but, you know, certainly it wasn't quite the day we expected or what we wanted, but the Monster Energy Camry was good for what we had. You know, this is one of our first cars that we built last year, so it's just something that we needed to go to Phoenix with. It's not our best piece. Hoping Vegas goes a little bit better. It's a brand new car that Mike himself built, so same front end stuff and everything that Mike's used to, just a couple components that we weren't able to build over the off season yet to get that he's been accustomed to. So, you know, being with the Roush organization, for those guys being afloat for 25 years, they've got a lot of stuff over there. And KBM, we're 2 years old, so we've got a long way to go and a lot of stuff to buy and build and all that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But, you know, still working through all the growing pains of a new organization and everything. So just can't say enough about our guys. I mean, they've worked awfully hard, and everybody back at the shop's done a phenomenal job being able to get us to this point. Just hoping, you know, that we have some solid runs, and by May we'll start clicking off some really good runs and maybe even challenging for some wins.
As the race-winning driver that you are, how difficult for you is it to take baby steps?
It's hard. Certainly it's hard. You know, I knew that we could just jump into the JGR stuff and go win races right away, you know, but this is an organization that I want to build up to something that's pretty substantial years down the road. So we just got to get it there. So I don't know how successful DEI was right out of the gate, but there might have been some growing pains over there as well, too. I'm sure senior and junior over there know plenty about that, but, you know, I'm learning firsthand right now.
I think he's going to get it, guys, eventually.
And Dave, one measure of the day, Kyle Busch finished 11th today. The Joe Gibbs Racing 3 cars finished 8th, 9th, and 14th here in Phoenix this afternoon. So a final thought on what you saw today here at Phoenix over 200 miles. Andy?
Well, what I saw was Richard Childress made a big statement about getting into this series. He's not just getting in it just, you know, because he was forced into it or anything else. He's made a statement that he's here to stay, and he doesn't do anything halfway. When he goes all the way. And they got great cars, great depth. I expect to see them contend for races every week and the championship.
Yeah, and could we have asked for 2 better races and results than what we've seen in the Nationwide Series so far? James Busher, Elliott Sadler. If I count today, we've got 6 Nationwide regulars in the top 10. We've got a lot of great racing, and that gives us a lot to look forward to down the road.
Borrow your phrase from Daytona, season of opportunity in the Nationwide Series. Elliott Sadler seized the opportunity today. More stories from the day. Sam Hornish Jr. came up with the 6th place results. Doc?
Yeah, after winning here last fall, Sam, you got a 6th place finish, but you didn't run that well. Why the disappointment?
Well, I'm not really that disappointed. I was disappointed during the race. We just didn't have a car that was good enough to continue to move forward. We could catch up to people, but then as soon as we got to them, you know, whatever the aerodynamics were involved just didn't allow us to be able to make a pass on them, and then we'd sometimes get passed by guys behind us. But Chad Walter made a good call there towards the end of the race got us up into 6th place for the restart, and I was able to hold my own and be able to get a 6th place finish. And that's what we need to do. On days that you don't have good cars, you make good calls in the pits, you have good pit stops, and you get yourself a better finish than what maybe you deserve sometimes.
Talk about Chad Walter's call. Chad has said you've come so far since the end of last year. Is this a championship caliber team?
Well, I sure hope so. I mean, we need to get our strengths really built upon. We need to be a little bit better on short runs. That's where we need to work on. But the Alliance Truck Parts Dodge Challenger team has been really good at doing a lot of things, but we just need to get a little bit better at some of those things. And we've had a tough couple weeks with getting beat by the guys that we know that we're going to race for points all year long. But at the end of the day, as long as we can minimize that, get everything where we need it to be, and then continue to move forward, I think we're going to have a great season.
Hey, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
A lot of optimism down here from the Penske driver, and hoping about maybe running for a championship this year as we go back to our pit studio and Nicole.
Doc, thank you. You heard Dale Jarrett just say this word a few seconds ago, depth. The depth of the Nationwide Series field. 6 of the top 10 drivers in this race today are drivers who are competing for this championship.
Exciting. I mean, this was great, a great way to start our season, coming out of Daytona, coming here, having these Nationwide guys right in the mix. And I'm going to mention a guy that wasn't a regular today on television, but a young guy, Casey Roderick. He qualified into Daytona last week, did a good job there, ended up with a bad finish, but ran decent throughout the day. Today he finishes 17th, the last car on the lead lap for Randy Hill Racing. He's a young guy, but another up-and-comer in the Nationwide Series. Great stuff.
That's a good point, Brad. One guy I really wanted to see today, see how he would shine on a track like this, was Austin Dillon.
Yeah.
And Austin looked really good out there, racing Hardwick right to the very end and finished 4th. The other fellow, I want to see if he was strong again here, was Sam Hornish Jr. Got a 6th place finish and looked really good. The other person I wanted to take a look at was Danica Patrick.
Yes, we haven't mentioned her name yet. She went 1 lap down on lap 28. She finished the race in 21st place, 3 laps down. And for more on Danica, right after the race, walking away, and our Vince Welch caught up with her.
Well, Nicole, the issue when you look at 21st and 3 laps down certainly does not look impressive, and it is what it is. But Tony Urey Jr., the crew chief for Danica, told me before the race, and we told you this, the audience as well, the goal today, finish the race. Don't hit anything. Finish the race. Get the experience. The short tracks are certainly the most difficult challenge for Danica in her transition to NASCAR. They knew it was going to be tough today, especially starting 30th. You noted that she went a lap down early, and they fought a loose race car throughout the course of the day. I talked to Tony Urey Jr. just a moment ago. He said it was a learning experience. We're going to get better, and we're looking forward to Las Vegas next week. Nicole?
Brad, you've been very vocal about wanting to see Danica in this series, not just for this year, but for maybe a couple of years so she can learn. Is today proof of that?
Yeah, I expected this today somewhat, and I expect more of it as we go throughout the season. Realistic expectations for Danica Patrick is what we need to talk about. She will do well in this series eventually. She is a talented young race car driver, but we got to get away from the hype. We got to push through all that. What are the realistic expectations? And I said today was realistic. She's going to have more days like this, but there will be some light at the end of that tunnel.
She'll get much better. I'm really positive of that, Brad. There's no doubt about that. She needs a track time. That's for sure. She needs to understand the car better, what she needs out of the car. And to me, that's the most important thing. What does she need that car to do? And she needs to understand how to transmit that information to her crew chief. That will put her up front better than she is right now. Right now, she's going through a huge learning curve. Yep.
Well, let's go back down to the garage. Another driver who finished today's race in the top 10, Michael Lynette, who's standing by with Jamie Little.
Well, he had a great day. He even got into the wall, and I think it made his car better, so he brought it home 10th. Driving for Richard Petty, though, you told me you got out of the car, and he's standing there, and you have to debrief with him. What is that like?
It's pretty cool, you know. Obviously, as a kid growing up playing hockey my whole life, watching the video clips of Richard, never thought, 7 years later I'd be driving for him and have him sitting there waiting for me to get back to the hauler and tell me everything I did right and everything I did wrong for sure. But it's just this is a dream of a lifetime season. Everything's at the fingertips for me to have a breakout year that that I think I'm capable of doing, and have the right team behind me with Richard Petty Motorsports and our partners, Pilot Flying J, that've been with me ever since I started, and I think this year's probably my best opportunity, and just looking forward to getting on to Vegas, and can't thank Nationwide Insurance enough for letting us do this week in and week out. And like I said, the whole team's really looking forward to getting to Vegas. I think we'll have a really good car there.
The guys in the booth were commenting how aggressive you were being and what a great job you were doing, but then you did get into the wall. What happened after that?
Yeah, they kept talking about how aggressive I was last weekend too, and it's just something, I don't want to say I rode around for 3 years, but this is a year that I think I have every opportunity to win races, and I'm sure it'll probably bite me a couple times, but today, it could have, but it kind of just upset me in the car and just got back to going and laid down some of the best laps I did all day and brought home a top 10 for this team, and that's what these guys deserve. They deserve better, and that's why I think I'm so excited for next weekend, because that's one of my favorite tracks, and like I said, we're going to bring a good piece there.
All right, Mike Lynette has that fire in his belly. He brings it home 10th. Let's go to Dave.
8th place for Joey Logano today. And Joey, I had the 20 car on both sides of the fence, loose at some points, tight at some points. Was it hard to find the handle?
Yeah, we struggled a little bit. I thought we were going to run a lot better than that. And, we started off tight in the center, and then we ended up getting loose in as we tried to fix it. Just couldn't ever get more front grip in the car. We kept loosening the back up to try to help the front, and just never really found any speed. We just kind of had what we had from the beginning, and kind of disappointment. We thought we'd have a better Dollar General Toyota after practice. I thought my car was good enough to win, and just couldn't tune it in quite good enough.
Joey with a top 10 today.
2 races into the season, and Cup regulars have been shut out of victory lane in the Nationwide Series. Do you expect more of the same as we go to Vegas?
I do. I think that the Nationwide regulars are going to do really, really good. I think they're looking great, but also RCR, man, Richard Childress Racing, they are very, very strong. And what about James Busher, our Daytona winner, finished 12th today? Not a bad run.
Yeah, and Rusty's right. They are doing well, and what we're seeing is better race cars for these young guys. That makes them more competitive. A lot of fun to watch. But we move on to Vegas next week, and it's going to be interesting to watch Danica as she goes back to a track she ran well at last year.
One more interview in the garage. Vince is with Brian Scott.
Tough week last week at Daytona for Brian Scott, 37th with a lot of damage to the car. A little better today, finishing top 15. How was it?
It was just a hard day for our Dollar General Toyota team. We just didn't have a car that could race very fast. When we got in clean air, we could make decent speed. But it was a little bit of an experimental setup, and we got to go back to the drawing board. But when we come back here in Phoenix, we'll be strong. Our teammates were real strong. They had a little different setup. And we feel like we know what we needed, but we just battled, and we couldn't race. We just couldn't pass cars, and we couldn't get inside of them and hold lines and stuff like that. So in a race that doesn't have a lot of cautions where you can really try to snook around pit strategy-wise, we never had an opportunity to get up front and try to hold them off. So the whole time we were trying to fight through the pack, and it just didn't work. I expect better things from our Dollar General Toyota, and I think we'll be good going forward. The good news is we've got the car in one piece. Doesn't have to get any work done or anything like that. When you do that, you can take them back to the shop, and our Joe Gibbs team can do a better job at getting them better and getting more speed in them.
On to Las Vegas next week, Brian Scott.
Elliott Sadler pulled into victory lane today, was burned by the fact that he did not get a win last season and finished second in the championship. How does this set him up as we head into the rest of the season?
I picked Elliott Sadler to win a championship this year. This is the reason why. For one win for Elliott Sadler, I see many more coming.
Well, Brad, we got a super speedway underneath us, Daytona Beach. We got a short track out here in Phoenix, Arizona, 1 mile. Now we move on to super fast Las Vegas. 3 different style racetracks coming up. What a great race we saw today.
It's gonna be good. Next Saturday, it's the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Las Vegas on ESPN2 at 5 Eastern. We can't wait. We'll see you then.
Everything about the desert is extreme. The days are hotter, the nights are cooler. A place that brings out the beast in all of us, where every moment and every lap brings one simple goal: survival.
Sadler wins it.
Nice job, Elliott. You are the man. Good job, everybody. Way to go.